Casting couch. Family D.
Casting couch.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ice Cold Takes podcast. I'm your host, Joey DeMeglio, and we're in a weird setup here. First time ever. I'm in North Carolina. I'm here with a bunch of my New York Rangers content creator friends. It's a very special weekend for the Cjeths family.
Yes.
Why don't we go around and introduce ourselves to anyone that doesn't know about us by now?
I think Joe should go first.
I'm Joe, CJ's brother. I used to be on this podcast, but then I got a real job.
Oh.
Now he's just my best man, barely.
Yeah.
And this is Grace. This is my soon-to-be wife. And I'm Nick. Cjeths.
I'm Negative Central.
Negative Central.
I am Matt, and I'm a Pollock. That's all I got to know about me.
Don't try to say his last name.
And
I don't know my fucking furniture. So
and of course, I am Joey D. I am the host of the show.
I'm Joey D.
I heard rumblings that we should change the name of the show to Grace Cold Takes. Pretty fitting. This dog is in love with me.
Yeah.
So cute.
Friendly? Belly rubs?
I mean, this stream could go like off the rails, but I mean, do we even want to attempt at talking about the
Let's
Rangers?
try for like 5 minutes. And
Yeah.
see how long it takes to derail.
So Mike Sullivan was introduced to the Rangers in the press conference yesterday. Did anyone like actually sit down and get a chance to watch that?
Nope, did not need to hear the coaching talk again.
Didn't you hear it?
There's our 5 minutes of Rangers talk today,
Just
everybody.
see him say exactly what Gallant said, what Laviolette said, and everyone else said, we're inside of the building. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
He literally said what Gallant said, and everyone's like glazing Sullivan about how
Yeah.
talent doesn't win championships. It needs to be a team, and
Yeah.
that got Gallant fired. But we're
Yeah.
glazing Sullivan for saying it.
Because it's Chris Drury's guys.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's so. I'm like, I think everyone could agree we're rooting for Sullivan, but I'm not going to take his first press conference, which is a repeat that this is something we've heard for the last 4 coaches now, and whip out my tits like it's Mardi Gras. It's like it is what it is, dude. Of course he's going to say what you want to hear. If he didn't, that would be an even bigger worry. I got to see what this team does. If they quit on him week 1, I mean, we're just going to put the tits away. This team sucks, and nothing's going to change that, it feels like.
That's the problem. It's like we've talked about it so much, and
Ad nauseum.
we said Scotty Bowman wouldn't fix this team, and it's like now all of a sudden that they got Sullivan, we can't change our minds. Like they need to make changes before an actual good changes, because we saw what Drury did with the decor. So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, Carson Seuss is our number 3 next.
Well,
everyone breathe.
If we want to talk about changes, Mika Zibanejad sold his townhouse in New York.
Yeah.
Right?
to
So
Connecticut.
does that mean he's bought a house in Connecticut? So
allegedly. So he's doubling down on staying. So he's
Yeah.
not going anywhere.
So I mean, if you're hoping for Zibanejad to waive his no movement clause, you might have to be on the pessimistic side.
Unless they're
you
going
have to
to
join negative E.
Well, then we got a shot.
Yeah. Also, Calvin DeHaan made news this week. He was on the Cam and Strick podcast. That's I believe that's Cam Jansen, former NHLer, and then Andy Strickland, a reporter for the Blues. That's their podcast, and he was talking about his time in New York. I thought these comments that he made were. I thought they were legit. This wasn't him walking it back. You guys seem to disagree with that. Of course, DeHaan was the player that kind of blew up at the reporters before the Rangers season ended, saying that he didn't get a fair chance. Oh, this dog is going nuts. Yeah. She's stealing the show.
Thoughts on Calvin DeHaan?
Yeah, thoughts on Calvin DeHaan. Exactly. But
No,
for real, like,
he
what
walked it back. Too.
You think he walked it back?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's got a lot on his mind. Okay, I'm not. You got to chill.
It's just like,
baby, come on.
Yeah, because like he said, the whole reason this story even broke out is because he was just like frustrated with the entire thing of the organization, and it's just like now all of a sudden PR gets involved and he walks it back. He immediately did the day of.
Yeah,
like
same day.
Yeah.
He wants to play in the NHL again. That's why he's. I feel like in maybe 5 years from now he could expand on it, but right now we're not going to hear shit.
Yeah, maybe on like Spit and Chicklets when the time is right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of like when Dan Boyle, everyone knew he was retiring. turned up on Brooksy. That
Yeah.
if DeHaan was retiring, I feel like we would have heard a whole extension of that story that we didn't get.
He wants to play still. Yeah. Yeah, I still understand it from his perspective.
Yeah.
I just think he didn't walk it back as much as he did the first time. Because, of course, he said the comments, and then right after Molly put it on Twitter, he posted a long comment on the. Yeah.
fucking licked more than an
Don't-
Italian ice cream.
That was good.
Well, dude, Joey did come in. He was rubbing his arms in peanut butter. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how all that peanut butter was going to go.
I made a
Oh,
new
you got
friend.
a dog?
If
Friend?
my dog's
Grace
home
is
or
good.
watching somehow, then I'm sorry.
All right, we'll see you at the
Sorry,
wedding
maybe
tomorrow, Grace.
See you
Bye,
guys-
Grace.
See you at your wedding.
Listen, as long as you didn't rub peanut butter in a certain area.
Yeah,
we'll be
yeah, yeah.
good.
Whoa.
The Italian sausage.
Yeah. So Calvin DeHaan.
Yeah. I mean, I would be pissed
Yeah.
if I was DeHaan too, because the guy played well, and they said, "Oh, this guy's almost playing too well. Let's fucking trade a third-round pick for fucking Carson Soucy." I don't blame him for being pissed off. I'd be pissed off. You replaced me with one of the worst defensemen in the league.
Especially when, like, forget about what we think of DeHaan. Like, DeHaan
Yes.
did objectively suck in those games, but, like,
Yes.
the stats said he was actually good in those games.
Yes.
And they got back-to-back shutouts, I think, in those games
Yes.
that he played, if I'm
Yes.
not mistaken.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, he has every right. And we heard it with every single scratch this year. You had Jimmy Vesey saying he felt like he was dying.
Yes.
You had Kaka when he was scratched, pissed off.
Zach
Jones
Jones.
was pissed
Yes.
off. Like, and this is why I had the biggest problem when they extended Drury, because it's like the culture issue clearly stems from him.
Yes.
It's just that's the part that frustrated me the most. It's like I get that you wanted to keep him around to get Sullivan, but it's just putting lipstick on a pig. And it's like Statboy Steven said,
Yes.
you have now the best chef in the world being Sullivan, but you have shit ingredients. So it's like, who gives a
Yes.
fuck?
Sullivan would have been great to have. Not that
2
it was
years ago,
probably
even.
2 years ago would have been perfect, but unfortunately,
And the
wasn't
Miller
there.
trade a few years ago,
Yes.
but they didn't want to move Schneider.
He
yes.
wasn't
Oh,
available.
boy.
Yeah, the fact that they don't want to move Schneider is a very
That's why
It's-
they didn't get
it's
Miller.
very
Yeah.
questionable. Like at this point, I don't think there's any untouchables on the Rangers right now.
No, there shouldn't
None.
be. There should be a
should
single
not
player.
be.
I do understand some of the cases even being made for laugh, but I've seen this guy now for this is year 6. I've seen enough. Like if someone is going to overpay you for him now, let's call it what it is. Even if Laugh excels this season, what is his ceiling? What is his ceiling? 70 points,
70.
a very good scoring winger with almost no defensive upside. If someone offered you right now a first-round pick, one of the top 3 prospects in their system, a young roster player, and another okay prospect, you say no to that? No
Well, the
way.
Rangers will find a way to screw that up.
Yeah,
Mike.
no, they
that's
would.
the thing.
No, they would.
That's
but-
why I wouldn't consider it. Like I would consider it, but I wouldn't be all over that like you guys would
My
be.
pushback would be you trade for a player that helps you win now, because they shrunk the
Yes.
window anyway by
Yes.
trading for Miller,
Yes.
getting Sullivan. Like, you're insinuating that you want to win now. You have to win within the Igor deal. So
Yes.
make moves accordingly. Like, we don't have time to wait for
No, we
Lafreniere to hit his ceiling if it's
No.
any higher than what we saw last
The
season.
Gabbert to Columbus trade would be what I would look at. When we got
Yeah.
Dorsett, Moore, Broussard, and I think we got like another. I think we got
John
Pickett in
Moore?
that too. Oh yeah, John Moore. John Moore got his Keith Yan. I mean, like there's workarounds for this. I'm not saying trade Laugh for a bag of pucks, but if someone's offering you 3 good roster players that this team desperately needs, you'd be crazy not to sit there and consider it.
And of course, the Lafreniere news comes from. There was an article from Forever Blue Shirts was talking about. Molly Walker was saying that the Rangers should consider trading Lafreniere, and a lot of
Yes.
people push back on that. I would consider myself one of those people. I would push back on that because he's young, right? And I have skepticism about like what the Rangers are bringing in. So if it's young
Right, that's a
roster,
good point,
if
yeah.
it's young roster players, we've seen how badly the Rangers screw
Yeah.
that up,
Yeah.
how they do it.
Yeah.
And it's not even
Yeah.
on the coach at that
No,
point. It's
it's
just
not. Yeah,
it could be from
development.
Drury, like you saw how he was with Anderson and Kravtsov and all those guys. Libor Hayek, he kept on the roster
Yeah.
for whatever reason for however many years, and it never worked
God,
out.
dude.
Brett Howden stayed when he was completely useless.
Yep, Howden.
Yeah,
Who's
like
sick now in
so
Vegas.
now
The
he's
perfect,
great.
The perfect 4th round
That's
center.
that is what tells me that the problem is in New York. It's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
It's not like Lafreniere himself. It's like it is, but it's not like
It's partly on him, but they developed him like shit.
yeah.
We have
Same
a-
thing with Kako.
We also have a question in the chat from Is This Better? He said, what trade/move would need to take place for you guys to get excited again. Right now, I'm not excited at all for the upcoming season.
I would say,
Brady Kachuk.
but even besides that, the first thing that this team I think needs to address is the defense. And I think if they took a big swing at a good defenseman this offseason,
Exactly who you're gonna say.
Yeah.
like in a dream world, and let's play pretend like it's Halloween every single day of the year. In a dream world, if Roman Josi was available for nothing, for pennies, yeah, you take a swing at something like that. But realistically,
Fox McAvoy.
yeah,
Fox
if
trade-
back.
McAvoy's if McAvoy
That's-
or Darlene's
all right.
available, I would trade the world for either one of them.
All right.
Granted, I don't think either one of them will be, but I would move worlds for them.
This is what I would do. If you want the top pair D man, the Rangers also need a third line center. So
Badly,
Parsons not that.
bad. No.
You could do a 2-in-1 thing. You could trade Lafreniere and Chris Kreider and like a pick for you could package for Zaka and McAvoy.
It's not a bad idea.
Well,
You have to add more pieces into that. Now people, I swear, Boston Bruins fans are gonna. I'm looking at you right now. They're gonna come onto this stream and be like, "Oh, look at this fucking idiot! He said Lafreniere for McAvoy. Yeah, go fuck yourself, man."
Meanwhile, Laughing Pops would be a sick one too.
That
would be
perfect for each other.
I actually do have a mock trade when I was doing my armchair GM the other day with
let's hear it.
Boston. It's not with McAvoy, but
Let's play pretend.
Boston gets Kreider, Keandre Miller, and Brennan Hoffman. The Rangers get Hampus Lindholm, Zaka with $1 million retained, and a third-round pick. Who says no?
That's actually
Hampus Lindholm, how old is he?
he's got to be 31, 32.
31, but 5 years on that contract.
The only concern with Lindholm was his
solid.
injuries, but when he is healthy, that kid's sick. And I remember years ago when it was when the Rangers were
That's
first
pretty
looking at defensemen, it was like 2 years before we got Trouba, and it was either they want to go all in for Lindholm or all in for Trouba. Obviously, they went with the Fuhrer by accident, but Lindholm has been connected to the Rangers for a long time, and I'm a big Hampus Lindholm fan. So if they went that way, I would not be upset by that at all.
Yeah, the Lindholm is good. McAvoy, of course, would be the jewel in our eyes here.
Yeah,
I don't think that's very realistic.
but it's good. It's fun.
I like Zaka though as a third line center. That guy is solid. $1 million retained though in that potential trade.
But look at but you don't even have to take a swing like that. Well, I don't know if Lindholm and Cam Fowler be considered like same level, but like the Blues took a chance on Cam Fowler. That's worked out great. It's worked out great in the regular season and worked out great in playoffs. I think too. I can't remember the last time the Rangers made a move, got like a mid-range player. It's probably Ryan Trump. Got like a mid-range player who turned into a big role player, like how Cam Fowler has in St. Louis. They got Cam Fowler to be their number 4, number 5 guy, and you could argue he's their number 2, if not number 1. You know what I mean? Like I can't remember the last time the Rangers took a swing. Like, all right, let's just see what happens.
Vetrano, yeah.
But yeah, Vetrano. Yeah, but unfortunately, we only got to see fucking 20 games.
Yeah,
Like, it would be nice to
them.
Yeah, it would be nice to take a swing on a low risk, high upside guy. Maybe they thought they had that with Parsonen.
That's what they thought. They thought it was Susie. They thought it was Morgan. They thought it was Parsonen, and it just that's the problem. Chris Shorey doesn't know how to evaluate those players.
Toronto, I don't know if the scouts changed from that time, but you could see the difference in the personnel that was coming in was so different. Like
Tyler Mott, dude. They got
Tyler
him
Mott.
nowhere.
This is one that wasn't even on Drury's radar. He's like, oh yeah, one of my scouts said that Mott was good, and I saw this guy and he's amazing. Yeah, let me go pick him up.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, did the scouts change? Is he handling it all himself now? That's what doesn't make sense for me.
Not at
And
all.
the thing is,
So like the Vetrano trade, that was back when we could still defend him, and Drury was making these are smart trades. Like even the Andrew Kopp one, I was totally fine with.
At the time,
At the time, it was good. It doesn't age well right now because they got Brad Lambert added that, and
We'll look at
Lambert and Barron.
We'll look at free agency last year. You had a guy like Warren Fogle going out there for agency. Got signed, I think, 3 or 4 years to LA at $3.5 million a year, and instead of going after that, Drury decides to go trade for fucking Riley Smith.
So
what about all those
defensemen
defensemen that signed? Matt Roy, Sean Walker, and
Sean Walker was the
Shout out E-Rob.
Chikrin. Yeah, Eric
Robinson.
Robinson.
Oh, man.
Really good depth, really good role player, depth player.
Another one. The Capitals got Chikrin, who outscored, I think, by double in both goals and assists and points. Outscored Riley Smith when the Rangers needed a left shot fucking defenseman, and he went to the Capitals for a second round pick and a cap dump in Nick Jensen, and Chikrin was a guy that we were heavily pursuing the year prior or 2 years prior. It's like Let him
Yeah,
have
The
it.
thing that
how
annoys
was-
me with Fowler, they could have got him in the Truba
Yeah.
trade. Like
Yes.
they could have done that
Yeah,
instead
Instead
of
of
Vatanen.
Vatanen, yeah.
Yeah.
Well then,
That's what we thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
but also look at it. I mean, he's not as good as Jacob Chicken, but again, left shot defenseman.
Yeah.
Jake Wallman goes to
Oh,
fucking
God.
San Jose
Oh,
as a
my
cap
God.
dump, and then San Jose ends up turning around and reflipping him to Edmonton at the deadline for a first round pick.
Even
Like the
Ty
Rangers could have done
Emerson.
with Borgen.
Yeah, like even,
Obligatory Jake Wallman mentioned from Polish Matt.
God, it's just,
It's Jake Wallman.
and honestly, like I think we'd all be fine with Borgen if he was making $2 million less and was a number 5, right?
Yeah.
Can we all agree there? But he's not a number 3.
And about like 2 years left.
We
on his
went
contract.
from we went from saying we'd be fine with Trouba as a $4 million defenseman to
Yeah.
we'd be fine with Borgen as a $2 million
Yeah.
defenseman.
It's not
because
even-
they're really the
I
same
still said
player.
Trouba was an overpay at $4 million. Like
Yes.
I never
He
thought
was that
Trouba was
bad.
worth
No.
anything. I thought he was just at best probably a 7th defenseman.
I know.
Yeah.
If
There
it wasn't
were-
for
there were a
that
lot-
one season that he did.
There
Yeah,
were a
right.
lot of people that said Trouba at half his salary would be way better than
It'd be better. but it's still-
you'd still be like, all right, but I'm over the fucking shtick. I'm over the fucking costing entire playoff series
Game
on
3
mistake.
against Tampa.
Yeah, like dude, like I don't know.
and
Man.
Game 6 against
And
Florida.
game
Oh
4
my
against
God.
Florida.
Yeah, the big hits were cool, but you could get any asshole on the free agent market, pay him $1 million a year to do the same fucking thing. And they tried to do it with Ben Harper, and that guy couldn't even make it out of camp. You know, it's just
You
or
could've-
Jared Tenorti. I genuinely think Jared Tenorti is as effective defensively as Jacob Trouba.
Just look
If
at
you-
the difference in the type of players the Rangers acquire versus Florida for their depth.
Yes.
They get guys like Nate Schmidt. They picked
Yes.
up Gustav Forsling, while
Yes.
the Rangers are getting Harper, Tenorti,
Yeah.
Carson Soucy.
Susie.
like slow, can't move defenseman, like immobile
Even
defenseman.
Oliver, Ekman Larson, and then they.
Yeah. Oh
That's it, yeah.
man.
Talk about a reclamation
project, and he's working out really nicely.
and this is
for,
what we talk about.
Toronto.
This is what we talk about with Sam Bennett. You can't pay him this
No.
offseason for what he did elsewhere. You need
We-
to find your
We
own.
were talking.
yes.
We were talking about this yesterday, and one thing that bothers me, Nick and I, we talk about this all the time on our streams with NHL GMs handing out bad contracts and making bad trades.
all the time.
This is why you see guys like Andrew Ladd or Milan Lucic or
that
Louis
one
Eriksson
offseason, yeah, that
get
offseason, the
terrible
offseason of hell.
contracts. All those contracts, David Clarkson, Nathan Horton, the list goes on. Like all these contracts
Yeah.
that GMs
Bobby Holy.
spend crazy amounts of money, like hyper inflate the value of players in free agency just to get the guy. And it's just
Not what they are.
yes, for what they've been, not what they are, and it's just it doesn't work out for them. And then when it doesn't work out for them, they're screwed. They can't do anything with a contract because
No.
it's got movement clauses now. No movement clauses because they hand them out like candy.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what you need to avoid as
Yes.
as a general manager. And the
Yes.
Rangers are a prime example of a team that does that.
Yes.
You'll never see a team like Florida or Tampa Bay sign one of those albatross contracts because they're the ones developing those players in the first place so that they hit the open market with that
They
value.
let Anton Stroman go for the exact amount they paid Dan Boyle.
this is what I'm scared about
Stroman had
with,
8 more years.
with losing Jones. That Jones is going to become something
Yeah.
else. Where
Yeah.
He'll go to Florida
Yes.
until he'll take that next step.
Yeah.
which player?
You know,
they
I
just-
mean, but again, like look at Florida, right? Aaron Ekblad's a free agent next year. They're obviously not going to go out and give him that big time contract because they see obviously the risk with that. So what do they do this offseason? And with also the goal of still winning a cup this year, I know they're down 2-0, but still Florida has shown over the years that they can come back and win series. But they go out, they trade for Seth Jones, and say what you will about Seth Jones. I don't like him as a player per se, but he's fitting Florida's system.
Yeah.
And now he's going to be that
Yes.
replacement to step in when Aaron Ekblad, leaves next year in free agency. And then they'll go in and then they'll sign a guy like Jones as the new, quote unquote depth guy.
Yeah.
And he's right around the same age too. He was taken a year earlier in the draft, 2013, and Ekblad was first overall in 2014.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a smart move on Florida's part. That's another thing. They're not getting it too personal. Like the fact that Ekblad is a homegrown player, like first overall pick. They're not getting all sentimental about that
that's
stuff.
why we banged the drum for so long that just move Kakko. Like last year at the
Way
deadline,
too long.
just move him to go get Gensel.
Yeah.
Move him to go make the all move. Like you didn't see, and You don't see Stars fans crying right now that they lost Stankoven to
Stankoven.
get Rantanen.
Rantanen.
Yes, I get that Rantanen extended there, and that's the difference. But even Carolina did well, all things considered, the situation.
Yeah.
Like Carolina was able to get young players, get draft capital, considering Rantanen.
After all that, they made it further than Colorado did in playoffs. So they,
They're not
they're already
sniffing the Stanley Cup final though. That's for sure.
no. But
I'm
they're
calling
doing
it
better.
now. Toronto's winning the Stanley Cup.
No.
Toronto
I
is
don't
winning
know.
the Stanley Cup.
I think the West. It's out of the West. It's either Dallas or Edmonton.
That's
Whoever
my
wins
ice
the
cold
final.
take.
If Toronto wins the cup, you know who's going to get overpaid when they shouldn't this offseason? John Tavares.
Oh yeah,
How about
John
that? Isn't
Tavares.
Matty Nyes a free agent?
Nyes
RFA.
is someone the Rangers should
RFA.
easily offer sheet.
Oh
They
my
have
God.
to offer sheet
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, if you
So
RFA him, you got to keep your first round pick for next year then,
Yeah.
because then you can't.
And I
That's
wonder
why
if
I've been
that's
arguing
why.
they should.
I wonder if that's part of their strategy going into this offseason is maybe we give up that first round pick this year, not because next year's draft is better, which should be the smart reason. It's because maybe we could use that to offer sheet somebody. And Matty Nyes, watching him play, I don't think this is a 1-year wonder thing. He is creating offense by himself. He's not just a passenger with Marner, Matthews, and Nylander. This guy is legitimately making his own space and making his own plays. Kind of like how Cooley did a little bit this year. Cooley, his first year, I'm not saying he's a passenger his first year, but he turned into a guy that was making his own space now. He's making his own plays. He might not be able to carry a line, but holy hell is he a great number 2 piece on any line.
And you know that Nyes is legit because
Yes.
you have these guys actually performing in the playoffs now.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
a USA
absolutely.
guy.
Yes. Very,
Yeah,
very
USA
Zach
guy.
Hyman.
There's just
better
one
than
problem.
Hyman.
There's just one
Yes.
problem though. The Rangers don't have that second round pick because the Patrick Nemeth deal, so they're gonna have to acquire
Fuck.
that
Oh,
second
what
round
the
pick.
fuck?
They could get
Which,
that
yeah,
back.
they could.
That's easy. You could trade when Kreider, when you trade him, you could get that back.
I don't know.
I think you can.
Is he worth that much?
I hope someone
I really
done
don't know
with
how
him.
much he's worth.
Like, oh, he's 6'3" and tries to skate.
Exactly.
Maybe my entire
That's
farm.
exactly
Hey, listen,
what
we
they
all
think.
said last year that coming off a 39-goal season, off of 3 consecutive 30-goal or more
Yep.
seasons, that was the time to trade Kreider because we all said that we all saw the 5v5 declines last year. You could say 39 goals, but let's be honest, most of those goals were on the power play and tipping goals.
Yes.
None of that majority was at 5v5. That was the time to cash in. You could have gotten a first-round pick and more for him,
Yes.
but no. Jordan decided to wait, run it back, and
And
we're in the
what's so
situation that
fucking
we are
funny is the first or the second player off the board in free agency, Sam Carrick. You could legitimately argue that I shit on him when we
So
saw
did
it. I said this is the next Tanner
Everybody
Glass.
did.
And you know what? Good for him. I still don't think he's like a great Forsey, but for what he did this season, you could genuinely argue he was as effective, if not more effective, than Kreider throughout the season. I don't know if there's like an equivalent to WAR in hockey. I'm sure there is, but I would venture to say that Sam Carrick's WAR, if it does exist, might have been higher than Chris Kreider's.
Goals
I'll
above.
see if I can
replacement,
find that out
probably.
right now.
Yeah,
I would make that
Sam
argument.
Carrick.
Awesome.
Sam Carrick was actually one of the better Rangers this season.
Yeah.
Played
And
hard. He did what he had to do.
yeah, in a lost season such as
Yeah.
this, he killed penalties, scored
Yes.
shorthanded goals. I mean,
And he
the
tried
guy-
everything.
Yes, he is.
January, he backpacked the fuck out of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he carried them.
Yeah.
The bottom
Sorry,
six carried in for
And-
like a 2-week span.
And I
in,
genuinely
January.
shit on the guy. I
I
literally
was
said, I was
pissed.
we were all pissed. Like, what a fucking waste of space. And honestly, for what he did, good for him. He played hard, and that was one of the few players this season that did not take a single game off. When he was out there, he played like a mother effer, and I give him credit because I don't know how anybody on that team could have given a shit with the way they fucking played from November through February. When that was a snooze fest, and that guy he brought his all every single game, and I'm actually happy for the guy. I actually thought he should have been a nominee for or a bigger consideration for
Stephen McDonald.
for Stephen
The
McDonald.
biggest,
But of course,
the
it's
biggest
gotta
issue
be
was the
local
3
league.
years. That's
Yeah.
why we were pissed. It was the 3 years.
Yeah,
But
that
it's
was
so
Tanner's last
cheap.
thing.
It's like it's so cheap though, and he's that effective. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. What is it?
No.
$1 million?
No, and I think if the Rangers do find a better 4C this year, I wouldn't mind seeing Carrick move to the fourth line wing.
I agree.
Or
with that.
or
Yeah.
if they
Could
could
be
or
Edstrom.
if they could develop Edstrom as a better center. I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure Edstrom did play center
He
in Europe
didn't.
before
he did.
He did.
Then
I think it was-
Rempe was the one that was playing center.
Yeah.
Oh,
center.
Rempe at center, dude. I don't know. That kid, if he has any semblance of an NHL career, he's got to keep becoming a better skater. He was a better player this year. But I think if last year's Rempe is on your next year's roster, you don't have cup expectations. He's playing every single one, unless he's gotten better. Because it's not impossible for Rempe to become a better player, to become a better skater, to have better hockey sense, and develop into a Brian Boyle light, which you can have. You can have a guy like that on your roster. I just don't know how far you can go with Rempe in your lineup every single fucking night if he's as much of a liability as a player as he was last year.
I got to defend this guy because every offseason it seems like he's hitting the gym, he's hitting the ice, he's trying. He's trying. He's absolute artist, man. Yeah. Like this is what you need around here. Even the jump that he made to get to the NHL, all the scouts are saying it was unlike anything they've seen before. So
he's got his work cut out.
Yeah, he's got his work cut out.
Sixth round or seventh
round? He was a 7th round pick. Edstrom was a 6th round pick.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Is like hard. I have a lot of faith in that Rempe could do it.
He absolutely could.
Yeah,
he keeps working hard. He'll get there. I mean, he's only
skating improved so much. Like last year, I felt like it was so wonky.
Yeah, after the suspension too, he was way more disciplined.
Yes,
it was better.
Yes,
he still does dumb shit. But how old is Rempe? He's going into the season. He's 22, turning 23, right?
Yeah. That line
he's
is
still so young. Like there's so much time, dude. And a taller person, physically mature, sometimes a little bit later, he's only going to get more athletic and become a better player. That's why I have a lot of hopes for Edstrom. I think Edstrom's 24, turning 25.
The team looks so bad with
the second he was gone, dude. I think it was Jay Fresh that posted that Edstrom was one of I forget this. It was like a speed burst or consistent speed. Edstrom was consistently over 20. It was like over 21 or 22 miles an hour. He's like a top 5 fastest skater in the league, which is fucking insane. Because he's 6'8", 200 30 something pounds.
Yeah. Can I just add to with Edstrom? We all called for him to play last year.
Yeah, we did.
We did. All of us did, and Rempe still. I thought Rempe was easily the worst of the two last year.
Absolutely,
and they still
Edstrom is better. Yeah,
they still were playing Rempe over Edstrom, even though Edstrom looked far and away better. Yeah, and I do have the WAR stats, by the way, from Evolving Hockey. Kreider's slightly above Sam Carrick somehow.
Slightly. So what are they at? I'm curious.
Carrick's at a flat 0 and Kreider's at 0.2.
That's fucking wild.
That's nuts.
Who do you think the leader was in WAR for the Rangers?
Fox. Cooley.
Fox.
Yeah, it has to be. Fox's micro stats are good no matter what.
Cooley was 3rd.
Who's 2nd?
Oh, hold on. Let's see. 2nd?
Panarin.
They don't count goalies.
Panarin.
I figured it's Panarin.
Who? I mean, they should move him this offseason.
If they could even put the allegations behind everything, which is it should be at the forefront. But let's just talk about just as a hockey team right now. The Rangers could do a lot of damage with $11.5 million in cap space, and not to mention, teams will pay for Artemi Panarin if he waives his no movement clause, and you are a playoff team with cap space. Like, I can get a guy that just put up 90 points on arguably one of the worst offensive teams in the fucking league this year.
Which I have a mock trade there as well.
Let's talk.
Before that, can they really use the $11 million and do damage because they're spending $6 million on Vakanainen and Parsonen and Susi next year?
Valid fucking point.
Which that's your left shot. That's your left shot defenseman, by the way.
That's wild. Vakanainen, not to cut you off. Vakanainen is a number 7. I'm fine with, but if that guy's in
for 1.5 though,
that's what's fucking bizarre. You could have got a guy.
Jones
for $500,000. Jones, we get $500,000
$3 million to healthy scratches, pretty much.
Yeah. And then Parsonen got 50% more than his qualifying offer.
They see something in Parsonen that we don't see. That's my explanation.
And between the legs goal a few years ago.
I'll jump back into that. Let me go through the mock trade, but the Parsonen thing, I have something to say there. But Panarin to the Kings with Vakanainen actually. For Kempe, Fogle, Spence, and a conditional 2nd.
I would fucking
Jordan Spence is a really good defenseman.
And the reason I have Kempe in the deal, before people are like, why would LA trade Kempe? He might walk after this year anyway.
That's a valid point. Oh, dude, if they could pull something off like that, I would fucking.
That would be good.
I'm
not really a pro trading Panarin guy, but I mean, in that trade, I think you have to do that.
I would actually. The Rangers,
that's a lot of value.
That's
a 3rd line winger.
Or center. He could play wherever.
Yeah.
He could play
Spence is a top 4 defenseman?
Probably number 5 right now.
Probably number 5. And Kempe is a 40 goal scorer, and that's your Kreider replacement.
I would be okay with the Rangers not that I'm saying they could or would have to, but if you read off that trade and said the Rangers included a second or even a first, I would still tell you make that fucking deal tomorrow.
That's
I would still make that deal tomorrow.
There's your Gabrick for Brassard, Dorset and Moore trade comparison.
What if we made this trade?
I would eat.
What if we expanded on this trade? Put Lafreniere in that deal, and the Rangers get Trevor Moore in that deal as
I
well.
love Trevor Moore. I'm a big Trevor Moore
He's
fan.
disgusting.
Even though he had a bit,
2C, 3C.
He's a winger.
He's a winger.
He's like a middle six.
Yeah, but even on a down year for Trevor Moore, I think he still is a really effective player. Trevor Moore is kind of like who's that guy that I was fucking waving pom pom? Mangiapane. He's very Mangiapane-like, but I think you lose Mangiapane's offense. Maybe actually you might even get better offense than Trevor Moore than you would get out of Mangiapane these days. But Moore is actually solid defensively as well. Trevor Moore is a perfect middle six winger, plug and play. You could put him on your second power play. You could put him on your penalty kill. He's gonna get you fucking 2 to 3 hits a game, and he's gonna work like a mother effer. He skates like the freaking wind. He's fast. He plays hard. You know, if the Rangers really want to be culture changers, I think it starts with the middle six and that fourth line. You need speed kills. Speed kill. You're seeing it with Toronto. You're seeing it with Edmonton. You're certainly seeing it with Dallas. If you've got speed and physicality towards the bottom of your line, it's what killed the Rangers when they lost in the Cup Finals to LA, and it's what killed the Rangers against Tampa Bay. You take away even that triplets line, the Lightning depth was so fast, so physical, and so fucking good. If you can build a great middle six and bottom six to compete again and shut down other teams' top lines, so you can put your top line out there against their maybe less effective middle and bottom six, that's how you win. You need good depth, and the Rangers don't have
And on top of that, that's what I worry about with having this group with Sullivan. Like, forget about the players themselves and being fragile and everything. None of these guys fit. Well, most of the guys don't fit the system that Sullivan's bringing. I would say Cooley does. Berard and Hoffman probably does, but that's really about it. Like, outside of that,
the other one,
I guess Parson, and they think too.
I was going to make a little video about this, but I actually think Zach Jones would fit in.
I actually agree with that
because I was listening to Vince's podcast, and he had Matt Wenzel on. He covers the Penguins, and Wenzel was saying that Sullivan plays zone defense, and he likes mobile, puck-moving defenseman, get the puck up the ice quickly. Jones is the only Rangers defenseman outside of Fox that moves the puck quickly.
When the Penguins won back-to-back cups, what reclamation project did they bring in that ended up being their best offensive defenseman during those cup runs?
Justin Schultz.
Who is quite like Zach Jones, who would fit in perfect. Mike, also, too, to build on the Sullivan thing, because you made a great point, with the fucking tools that Sullivan has, there's nothing you do. When they won back-to-back cups, their third line was Hagelin, Benino, and Phil Kessel. That's fucking insane. The depth was awesome on that team. They had Gensel and Rust in the top six. Kunitz was probably Connor Sheary. They made it work with. I don't remember
what on the fourth line.
Matt Cullen. Matt Cullen was their fourth.
That's right.
Dude, they turned Justin Schultz from a reclamation project into legitimately their number two, even at Louis' second pair, who was their number two most valuable defenseman behind Letang. Their defense was freaking excellent, dude. I think they still had Niskanen or Pick. Like,
Trevor
Daly.
Trevor Daly. Niskanen and Orpik. Dumoulin they had.
Yeah,
Niskanen and Orpik were on the Capitals.
By that point, they were. Even if they weren't, regardless, dude, that team was fucking money up and down the lineup. Even with Crosby and Malkin, fine. Obviously, those guys could win a series by themselves, but even without them, their depth, their defense, and they had 2 hot goalies throughout the entire playoffs, which is also what it comes down to. God,
this conversation is making me more mad because it's like. Why did they lock up the decor the way they did?
It's so stupid.
When you pretty much knew Sullivan was coming here? Why didn't you wait for Sullivan to come here and help make the decisions for the decor?
Chris Drury so badly wants the Rangers to play a north-south style, which is fine. They can't. Yeah, I'm fine with that. It's just they can't do it with Zibanejad, Panarin, and Kreider all on the same roster. If you can't do it, it's way too much money. You just can't. You don't have enough pieces in there that play that style. All your guys that play that style are bottom 6 guys, like Berard,
outside of maybe
Hoffman, Gabe
Right.
Perreault's not even a north-south guy.
He's not.
He's an east-west guy.
Yeah.
So if you want, I think Gabe Perreault is a trade piece, a very
Yeah.
valuable trade piece.
Yeah.
Wow, but couldn't trade him last year for Jenkins.
Yep.
I actually agree with that. Like I've said it before, like especially because this team, we've seen it time and time again. They cannot not only develop players, but they can't develop players that have foot speed issues, which is why we didn't want Perreault in the draft when he was there.
Mhm.
That's why we wanted Oliver Moore.
Yes.
I would consider it if it's the right piece, obviously.
Yes.
Moving-
Bringing back a big piece. Yes.
Moving Gabe Perreault, if they could get like if Darlene's available, like we were talking about before, a
Move
guy
the
like
ball,
that, you move
the
Perreault
Yes.
to get like if Brady could shuck ever
This
became
is
available, Gabe Perreault, see you later.
Darlene,
this is the
a
thing.
Darlene and Tuck package,
That's I'm dreaming about that. Dude.
or Darlene and Paterka.
Oh my God.
And you know what too? Like to Buffalo. The thing with Buffalo is like on paper their roster is actually pretty good.
I've
They
said
don't have a
this for
bad-
so long. I don't understand how they're bad.
It doesn't make like so maybe if Drury is talking with Buffalo, which I doubt he is because he's not smart. But if he was talking with Buffalo, you could be like, all right, listen, dude, we both have rosters. We both have guys that aren't working. Let's fucking swap this out. I'll give you boom, boom, boom. You give me this, and this, and let's just see if it works out. Call it a hockey trade. Do 3 1-for-1s. I'm not gonna name the 1-for-1s off the top of my head because I can't even think about it. I'm not even talking Darlene or Tuck. But you could figure out. I'm sure there's plenty of 1-for-1s you could do with Buffalo. That would
Ryan
work for both
McLeod.
sides. Yeah, like
McLeod.
Ryan
Yeah.
McLeod. Like
Dude.
I'm sure there's
Which Matt also said last offseason they should
yeah,
get a
like,
club.
wouldn't it, like dude, I'm sure there's a
McLeod and
lot.
Fogle.
It's a very solid.
There's
very
plenty of
solid
1-for-1s
reset.
that you could. To tell you the truth,
That
dude,
guy's
if I'm on the
best.
phone with
He's not the
Buffalo,
old McLeod.
I would try to steal. God, his name just slipped my mind.
Matthias Samuelsson.
Matthias Samuelsson.
Yeah, he's good.
I would try to sneak him out of there as fast as you could. I think him and Alex Vlasic are. I think
like
they're
Alex
both
Vlasic.
like Slaven light. They
Yeah.
both have like that really high ceiling of being a very quietly
Yeah.
underrated around the league. Great number 2 defenseman that gets slept on, like Alex Vlasic in his prime. Like to put it like in the most simplest of terms, if you're playing an EA Sports NHL game, a solid 87, 88 overall defenseman that you're like, oh, I could fucking stick that guy in there. Oh, and he's only going to make $6 million a year. Fucking great.
Chicago's got something there, and they already
Vlasic's
locked him
sick.
up. They
Yeah.
already locked him up.
Yeah.
That guy's getting
But we
raw.
lock up Morgan.
Yeah, but we lock up fucking.
That's
Morgan. like hold him over our head like he's a Stanley Cup. Like, the fuck-
I think Drury got rid of some guys in there that were helping him out in the
Yes.
process. In the years
Yes.
that you could see, like as each year progressively got worse. Like he
Yes.
overextended with Kane, maybe he didn't get Barbashev in the second year.
Ah,
then
dude,
in 23-24, he did absolutely nothing.
Brandon Hagel, dude.
I
like,
think
Brandon Hagel was there. 3 years left and dirt cheap.
yep,
You couldn't offer 2 first-round picks for that. You didn't want to do that.
insanity.
That's ridiculous.
Insanity.
The biggest issue, in my opinion, has been that the Rangers, it took them so long to identify that the defense isn't good enough.
They have no identity
way too
either.
goddamn
They-
long. It took them way too long to acquire, even if it's not JT Miller, a JT Miller similar type of player
Yes.
there to help put this team over the edge.
Yes.
That's the biggest conversation here and the biggest problem. They waited too long to
Yes.
do
Yeah.
all the things that we've been saying they need to do. And
yes.
now it's just like they're pissing away cap on depth players and
It doesn't even make
to
sense.
add with this. It's
Yeah,
just
Drury-
so weird.
They
Drury-
drafted a bunch of depth players.
Yeah.
And then they're paying a bunch of
Yeah,
older depth players.
Drury, Drury realized the decor wasn't good and then make the decor worse somehow.
Yeah.
But how do you trade Jacob Trubin and Ryan Lindgren and make the decor worse? I mean,
it's
that's just
fucking.
Yeah.
So the Rangers defense going next season, you've got Fox, Miller, Schneider,
boring.
Vacanina, Borgen,
Susie,
Jones,
Susie.
and Susie. So you've got 7 defensemen all on one-way contracts, all that are going to be
8.
making over.
Was he there?
Oh,
when we-
8,
was
yeah.
he there
8
when we did that?
defensemen.
Was he there when we did the
Right.
exercise with Steven?
No.
No.
Yeah, so when we were on
Should we
Big
run
Apple-
it? We'll run it with Joe and Nick right now.
Yeah,
we
do
were
it, do
doing Big Apple's stream. Statboy Steven told us to rank
Where
each-
these defensemen would be on Stanley Cup teams. So Adam Fox,
I think he could be a number 1 on
He could
the
be
top
number
team.
1 through 8, and then if you really think they're
you
shit,
could
say
reuse
AHL.
reuse
Okay.
others too.
Okay, Keandre Miller,
A 3,
Yeah, 3. That's fair.
It's pretty
Will
high.
Borgen,
5 or
Five.
6. A really good 6, definitely a 5.
Zach Jones
Zach Jones now or what he could be?
right now.
Right now.
5 or a
5.
6.
Carson Soucy.
7.
6.
6 is very generous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. It depends. Depends on.
That's fair. I think 6 is okay.
Within the right system, I could see him doing okay.
Yeah, and that he's proven that in the past.
Yeah,
Before.
if you erase the cap that he has right now, and you show me his micro stats like he had last year on Seattle, like when he played a full year, I think his JFresh card was like a 64 or 65.
He's good.
Yeah.
Then
Because
he
the
could
guy
be a 6.
sucked in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yes, I think realistically a number 7, but he does have a number 6 ceiling.
Euro Vakanainen.
9.
Not even on the roster.
9.
Not even on the roster. It's nothing against back. It's not even anything against him. The guy got. I don't understand where anyone would argue. Like, he's playing fine. He's getting bullied off of pucks. I don't think I've seen the guy win a single board
He's
battle.
huge, and he can't
He
win
gets-
anything.
Like I'm sure. I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
Braden Schneider.
Where does he rank?
Fuck.
That's the most polarizing one here.
Yeah. I can
I
see
think-
him as a 4. I can also see him as a 6.
I'm going to be generous because I do see a ceiling with Schneider if he's actually coached by a good defensive coach that could develop him, and I'm going to give him a generous 4 because I do think he has a number 3 or number 4 ceiling. But right now, I'm giving him a generous 4, but it should be 5.
That was a lot more optimism than we had.
Yeah. We were all going off of it, like what they are exactly right now, like based off the season,
Dude,
because it's so fresh. But
it's so stupid.
I
It's
think
such a shitty season. It's hard.
But what bothers me the most is Schneider does have some glimpses sometimes. Like, wow, I actually see what JD and Gordon were cooking when they drafted him. I do see the vision sometimes because you know what, dude? There are times where Schneider's skating like, fuck, this guy's fast. There are times he's fucking bullying people in the corner. Like, wow, this guy's actually a solid defender. And there's times off the rush where he actually looks good, but he has so many fucking brain farts. I wonder how much of the fault of like the dramatic fall off of Schneider, the dramatic fall off of Miller, and a lot of these guys' faults this past 2 seasons were the fault of Housley and the coaching, that these guys went from like, these guys have bright futures. Dude, it wasn't that long ago we were all saying Keandre Miller legitimately has number 2 defenseman
The
up front.
problem is that was still when he was developing. Like, but we've seen peaks and valleys with him. Schneider, there's more of a conversation there. I feel like just because.
I thought he was so solid last year, especially after Truba went down
When
with
they
injury.
first called him up
he
in
was
that
really-
conference final run against Tampa, Schneider was excellent on number 5, number 6 as a 19-20-year-old.
This is my problem though with Schneider in general. Like, this organization just has no consistency if they like this guy or not. They keep
not
putting
at all.
guys ahead of him in the depth chart, locking up Borgen, getting Truba before.
Yes.
But if they took the time, maybe like you could actually get something from him. But the Housley thing, I think, definitely is legit because that guy never succeeded anywhere. Like, that was objectively not a good hire. The guy
No, it
sucked
wasn't.
in Buffalo.
Yes.
There's
a big name in that set.
the only time they were actually solid defensively. This team was the Jacques Martin year, like from recent
What
memory.
Jacques Martin, what a good call out though.
Yeah, he was
They were excellent.
2021.
Even
Yeah,
Truba
yeah,
looked
1
serviceable under Jacques Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because that was what was Jacques Martin?
Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
yes.
Sullivan bring him back, maybe.
I don't see that. I do wonder I wonder if Sullivan's just going to axe everybody. I think him and Michael Pecker are boys, but I wonder if he'd be like, you know what, I want a clean slate, press the reset button, do his own coaching
I
style.
wouldn't be
I
against that.
I wouldn't mind
wouldn't
keeping
either.
Pekka.
I wouldn't
Well,
mind keeping
he's-
Pekka or Muse, one or the other.
Yeah, Muse I'm okay with. I would just like to see what Sullivan has in mind.
Was it one of you guys that said that they should put Pekka in Hartford to let him marinate
Yeah.
and help as
Yeah,
I said that. Yeah.
Which they should
That's a
do
good call.
because
Not
I
a bad idea.
I found out a story recently that's going to make you guys pissed off, but when
Oh, no.
Marty St. Louis retired in 2015, Jeff Gordon wanted him to coach Hartford right away and develop to be like the next head coach for the
Of
team.
course he did.
He wanted that, but Marty St. Louis wasn't ready at the time because he just retired. And sure enough, he brings him into Montreal and now.
Yeah.
Of
Motherfucker.
course. Oh man, it's just the timing wasn't right. I mean,
If
Jeff
Gordon was
Gordon
still
is
here,
Jeff Gordon was the pioneer of building the team. I know we didn't agree with the some of the decisions that he made.
They made some mistakes.
They
but
made
I
a
would-
lot. They made a lot of mistakes, but the organization, like of the team, not like
Yes.
the New York Rangers organization. I'm saying
Yes.
his organization was so on point. Like everything was like in order. Like the letter, it came out. Everything was organized.
His blemishes on the rebuild. It's hard to say Panarin because you could tell any team, no matter what stage of a life cycle, they're rebuild, mediocre, or whatever. If Artemi Panarin, who was objectively we'll say conservatively a top 10 forward in the league at the time, anyone's going to sign that guy. So I'll give him a pass.
He said it on a podcast. He's like, you can't say no when Panarin wants to go.
So I'll give him a pass on that, even though it disrupted the rebuild. The Kreider extension it was a blemish because they should have traded him. And acquiring Jacob Trouba was also a blemish.
Granted, against himself.
The extension.
Yeah.
Granted,
he bid it against himself.
Granted, we were one of many teams that were pursuing Jacob Trouba very, very hard. It just so happened to be us. I off the top of my head, I can name.
It was Detroit that he wanted to be in.
Yes. But in terms of just pursuance, it was the Rangers, the Devils, Detroit, Anaheim, Boston. I think Tampa was pursuing at one point, if I remember correctly.
Tampa was, yes.
I'm trying to think. There was a few more.
I think St. Louis might have been even good.
Because I remember, dude. I remember when Trouba first became available, dude. I was still. He
was a 50-point defenseman.
Dude,
they needed a proven defenseman. I remember the narrative.
He only got those points because
Morrissey.
Yeah. But from the outside looking in, everyone wanted Trouba. So I'm not giving him a pass for that because it's still a blemish. But you can at least, looking back at time, understand that everyone thought the Rangers acquiring this guy. They thought they were getting a guy that could be a number one defenseman.
I mean, even when the trade happened, I didn't hate the trade. I was pumped.
I was fired up.
It was
It was Pionk and their own pick. It was basically Trouba and Lemieux for Pionk and 20 games of Kevin Hayes.
Dude, my dad called me and Joe was like, dude, the Rangers got Jacob Trouba. Dude, we were fucking jumping around, high-fiving, going crazy. Like, holy fucking shit. But
we high-fived over Wheeler. That was
oh my god.
Yeah, we were going crazy over Blake Wheeler.
And what they signed him for, like, oh, this guy will score 40, 50 points.
The thing that pissed me off about that the most is I was pushing back a bit at first, and then I saw $800K, and I'm like, all right,
that was same with me. I didn't want Wheeler at all, but once you see the price tag, it's like
that was
we knew that going in, all those free agents were going to be really cheap because the Rangers had like literally like $2 million.
We also saw a report that it would be $2 million, and we're like, Wheeler for $2 million. Fuck no.
And then what's funny about it is, out of all the signings, the sign that we hated the most in Jonathan Quick ended up being the best.
Jonathan Quick was the best one.
I will say this: the extension they gave him this year, I think, was out of pocket.
Yeah,
I think a little much.
I didn't think he was coming back. I didn't think he was coming. I thought he was calling it quits.
I was hoping Garang was shot.
Because now, well, even though this past season, I watched a shitload of Hartford games, dude. Even though this year he should have been the number one, he was still splitting time with Louis Domingue. So maybe the Rangers' perspective, they're gaslighting him and telling you, okay, well, now here's your first full season as an and then you'll be up next year. Which I mean, dude, I get, but Garand, I can't wait to watch him in the World Championships. Even though Fleury is going to get the starting gig now that he's there, I am very, very excited to watch Dylan Garand play on the world stage because if nothing else, if Garand balls out and just like, oh, well, this kid's got fucking trade value now, maybe someone will be dumb enough to offer a lot for him. Even though specifically goalie prospects, typically don't get a lot.
I mean, wasn't Levi part of the Reinhardt deal?
Yes, he was. But my thought is like, all right, let's say the Rangers have a big deal on the table, and they're like, all right, we can't figure out what will get this over the finish line, and the team says, well, you know what, we need a goalie. You throw in Dylan Garand, we'll give you an extra third-round pick, call it even. It's a good, you know what? If that's a sweetener to deal, and then you get a plus asset back. Listen, all intents and purposes, I wish Garand would have been able to develop into becoming the Rangers starter one day. It'll never be the case now with a Shesterkin extension. That is a bed that is made and that we are in. So the Shesterkin's here. I would love to sit here and complain about the extension more, but he's here now. I still think he's one of the best goalies in the league. He's going to need to live up to that, but they made their bed. They're in it. So as far as I'm concerned, Garand is expendable, and it sucks because I do think that guy has a starting goaltender ceiling, a very high one at that. I think he could be a very good starter.
I wonder if that's why they're trying to like play the slow game with Garand to let it be where Igor, when he starts to fade out, we could bring him up. The only thing I'll defend them on with Garand is how many times do we wish they over marinated certain prospects?
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could defend them on with this at all.
It worked. Now, Garand, too, like if maybe you get really, really lucky and Garand doesn't get pissed off. He plays a full year in Hartford. Quick retires. He comes up and he's Shesterkin's backup, balls out. And then you've got a guy that might give you similar value to what Cam Talbot gave you when we traded
Yeah.
him. I still to this day don't understand why the Rangers picked quantity over quality. They should have fucking traded him for the 16th overall pick from Edmonton instead of the second, 5th, and 7th. What the fuck they got for him?
Who?
Cam Talbot.
Cam Talbot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, maybe they'll get lucky. Maybe go
None
around.
of those picks panned out.
No, Ryan
Ryan
Gropp. Fucking God, I saw Ryan Gropp hangover, even with Will Cooley balling out. But maybe they do play the long game with that, and next year, 2 years, so maybe in 3 years, when my kid's sitting on my lap, hopefully, we'll be talking about this again. We'll talk about Dylan Garand fetching the Rangers the first-round pick or a really good asset back, because I think that's unfortunately the ceiling that his most memorable moment as a Ranger is probably going to be whatever he gets for them in return. Because I don't think he'll ever be a starting goalie as long as Shesterkin's contract is here.
And I'm totally fine. I'm fine with that. And
Yes.
that's where I'm at. I think you put it perfectly, Nick, about the Shesterkin contract. I know it was like it's a big talking point amongst you
point of
guys.
contention.
Well, the thing with the Igor thing now is like, I hate the contract, but I also am like past the point of blaming it being the only issue with this team's cap structure right now. When, like I said, Parsonen,
Yes,
Susi,
that's what I've been
are
saying.
making $6 million.
Yes.
Borgen's making 4.1 next year.
It's so
Between
dumb.
all those contracts,
What about
you
the
would
three
get
centers?
legit defensemen.
Yep.
What about the centers? They're paying Zibanejad and Miller like $17 million.
Mika's getting 8.5.
16 and a half.
JT Lowe's getting 8, and Troche's getting 5.6.
So you're
That's
getting
fucking-
16 and a
like,
half
these
million
are-
from two 30-plus-year-old centers. And then if you put
32,
and then Trocheck, if you add it in, what is that? That's another
5.6.
5.6. So that's
The
17 to
it's so-
22.
the
These
cap
are
is
bigger
so
issues.
massive.
3 million.
These are the bigger issues than the Igor deal. And
Right.
again, they overpaid for Igor.
You
like,
can't build a team with $11.5 million.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
The
Yeah,
Rangers
not at all.
specifically and Chris Drury can't build a team with $11.5 million in cap
But
hit.
this-
You saw what he just did with the defense. He can't do it.
This is exactly what the problem was with extending Igor, is that they needed to identify that they need to build a team and not
Yes.
build from the net out. That was the
right,
bigger issue.
and they weren't going to
than
do that
anything
with
else.
Chris Drury
Yeah.
as the general
And that's-
manager.
that's
And
the point,
another thing that really sucks too is if the Rangers did manage their cap better, you wouldn't have to sit here and be like, oh fuck, we got to bridge Will Cooley. You could give him a long-term contract
They
now
should.
at a higher quote unquote AAV for what it is now. So it's a bargain down the line.
Yes.
But now you can't do that. Now you're gonna have to bridge him for face value, what a bridge deal will be. Let's call it conservatively $2.5 to $2.8 million. Right? That's probably what a bridge deal would be these days right now. So let's say on the high end he gets $2.8 million, whereas if you offered Will Cooley 8 years, 4.4 to 4.5 million a year, he might accept that. And in 3 years, that's not just going to be market value. That's going to be a fucking bargain. But you don't even have the opportunity to do that anymore, because now when his bridge deal's up, more likely than not, you're going to have to fucking overpay him for 7 or 8 years. And I hate to say it, I love Will Cooley now, but dude, in 7 or 8 years, the way Will Cooley plays
and the
we're
cap
gonna be-
going up.
and the cap going up, we're going to be talking about, damn, we got to fucking get rid of this guy because we have no cap space left. Because listen, Cooley plays a very physical game. He's starting to block shots where he's going to get hurt. He's going to get worn down eventually. It's going to happen, and it sucks. But there's going to be a day where everyone's going to turn their back on Cooley and say, "This is a bad contract. We have to get rid of him." And
just like Kreider.
just like Kreider. And the catalyst behind that's going to be is that we couldn't get him on a bargain deal. Now we had to bridge him and then sign him to a long-term overpayment. I think
Yes.
Will Cooley's ceiling, he's going to make like fucking $7 million a year. He's going to see what Kreider got at 6.5. He's going to put up similar, if not better, or slightly worse numbers, plus or minus, whatever you want to call it. And he's going to get minimum $6.5 to $7.5 million a year if his trajectory follows the path that he's on right now. He's going to get 2.8 now. He's going to get 7 times 8 later, and we're going to be fucking pissed about it in 7 or 8 years. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles right now.
The thing is, they could, if they move Kreider, they could just basically swap those cap
Yes.
hits
Yes,
there.
and that would be
And
fine.
That's why they also need to move Panarin, so they can
Yes.
make things more flexible to actually make
Or
changes.
Zibanejad, if possible.
Well,
Does
just put
Panarin
on-
have a full no movement?
Yes,
you can-
yes, but I think it's more realistic because, like,
It is.
I think
With
that
everything going on.
with everything going on off the ice with him, with the fact that
I
you
don't-
could.
I don't think it has much of an effect, to be honest with you, because they already
but I'm
settled
saying
it.
no. I'm saying it as it gives the Rangers a reason to trade him.
Yes.
Is more the thing
True.
that I'm saying.
True.
And then the fact that he's got 1 year left on the deal, I think that there's a legit conversation.
Like,
that
dude, like you don't
he's
think a
gone.
team like a Chicago who needs to get to the cap floor, would be like, you know what, this guy was fucking awesome here. Let's get Bedard some help. Oh, we can have
I
Panarin
don't
for
know if Chicago would do it because they want to extend Panarin. I mean, they could. I think they're going to be in the Marner sweepstakes this year, though.
Oh, they will be. But if
I
they
think-
lose out on Marn, I'm just trying to think of, like, he was there. He was a fan favorite there, and no one liked getting rid of him. Maybe they're like, you know what, dude? Let's make up for it. We need to get to the cap floor. You probably wouldn't
Columbus,
need to retain.
maybe?
Yeah, Columbus. Like, you wouldn't need to retain salary on him to get him to a team like that needs to get to the cap
Get him to
floor.
Anaheim.
I think
Yeah.
Get him to
that.
Anaheim.
Yeah.
I think-
Joe Quenneville just got hired there.
I think
Yeah, or
LA's
strong.
realistic, like I mentioned. I
Yeah.
think Colorado's realistic because
Yeah.
Colorado
Utah.
Colorado came in second to get Panarin.
Tell me, what was your
Mock
Like
with
with that-
Colorado.
yeah? What was that trade?
It was
Lehkonen, right?
Lehkonen, Gerard,
Yeah.
Ivan, and a pick. I think
Ivan.
I'll take that.
Ivan Ivan.
I'll take that.
Ivan for the fourth line.
I like Sam Gerard. I like
He's
Sam.
solid. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
Except
I
he
literally
fucked
based-
up on in Game 7 against Dallas.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah, I based that trade pretty much off the Gabrick one.
Yeah, but you know what, Gerard though, like I don't think Gerard has like a number 1 or number 2 ceiling, but that guy could realistically be a
He's a good 3-4 guy.
yes. He like you could win if that guy's your number 3 or number 4 and possibly running your power play as a compliment on the power play next to Fox. That's a great defenseman.
No, in the Rangers, they
I mean-
probably
I mean,
play
though-
number
I mean,
2
though-
next to Fox.
I mean, though, he already was because he was their 3-4 with Bowen Byram on the 2022 Cup
Oh,
on the
that's
team.
right, man. Bowen Byram, that's another guy that you could probably try to steal out of Buffalo.
Every
So
single
good.
player in Buffalo is up for grabs, man.
God,
Every single
like
player.
it's crazy, like how like the Rangers can go into this offseason with infinite optimism, but at the same time, no optimism at
No.
all because
Like-
they are legitimately like. And again, this is still playing pretend like it's Halloween every day of the year. This is still playing pretend. But if the Rangers did somehow trade Kreider and Panarin, just those two, and Susie, put Susie in there because fuck Susie. I don't need this guy anymore. But if they got rid of all 3 of those guys, you've got near 20 or maybe at $20 million, over $20 million of shit to do, and you could really make some adjustments. Whenever DraftKings uploads their next year projections for what you can bet on players, I'm putting on Brett Berard over 15.5 goals. I actually genuinely think Brett Berard
Yeah.
not only showed here in
I'm
a spot,
hammering that.
but should be
Yeah.
an NHL player next year. And I think that could be your value guy going into next season. I think right now he's a better NHLer than Othman. I think he's a more
Yes.
ready NHLer
Yes.
than Gabe Perreault.
Yes.
And I think Brett
Absolutely.
Berard would be great on your third line, but that is a guy you could absolutely sneak into your top 6. Brett Berard to me is like what Carl Hagelin was when he first came up. They were both 6th-round picks. They are both fast as fuck. They both play hard as fuck. And I really do think Berard has a Hagelin type thing to him that could be our next Carl
Berard?
Hagelin.
Berard is definitely a Florida,
Yes.
Tampa type
This
player.
Yes.
one of
Comes up
those.
out of nowhere and is effective as fuck.
I love what Berard brought to the table
Yeah,
in
but
only
this is-
35 games, and I don't understand why he was scratched so many times. I don't get it.
This is where I have the problem with the Parson extension the most, though, because
Yeah.
if
I'm gonna take
because
isolation.
if they're gonna get a 3 seed this offseason,
They
well
should.
then Parsons got to play the wing, and you're taking a spot away from your young players.
You are. Yeah.
And if not, you're spending $1.2 million for a guy that's either in Hartford or that's sitting in the press box most of the time.
Yes.
But if he's your
100%.
experimental 3C, why are you going into the season with such a big question mark experimenting that when you're trying to win now?
You had all the time to experiment when you knew you weren't going to make the
That's
playoffs,
true.
Yeah.
and you didn't
And
take
this
that
is-
time.
And this is why when there was clearly a disconnect between Drury and Laviolette, because I don't know if Drury knows this, but he could make the ultimate decision to fire Laviolette. I don't know if
Yes.
he knew that, but he
Yes.
could have fired
Right.
Laviolette, made Pecker and Muse the interim head coach, forced these guys to be in the lineup. But
Yes.
I said it to
Hindsight's
Joey,
like
I
that.
said it to Matt. I think they were scared that Muse or Pecker were going to succeed so much that they didn't want to hire him, because then if they
Purely,
hire Sullivan, it's going to look bad that they didn't just stick with Muse or Pecker
Yeah.
if they succeeded.
Another thing that hurts about signing, like having Parson and all these guys now, is besides the fact you're taking away spots from young guys like Berard, who should be an everyday NHL player to this point, is that you're also taking away. You also got to like these guys are managing, large amounts of money, but if fucking money adds up quick, why would you go out there? I'm like, oh fuck, we've already got Vakanen under contract over $1.5 million. You've already got Parson over $1 million. You've already got Carrick over $1 million. You've got all these guys. Why would you? What is the incentive to go out there and try to sign more guys to fit that role you're going to put them in when you already have them on the roster? You've already made the fucking commitment. It's stupid to spend more money on that, especially when you've got other issues that are glaring that exist that need addressing ASAP like fucking Rocky, dude. The defense is terrible. you need a number. Who are you pairing with Buck? Even if you
I
pair
think they're
Miller
gonna
with
get
Buck,
Orlov.
I'm okay with Orlov depending on the cap hit. I also have some concerns about Orlov. I would rather than make take a giant swing at a McAvoy or a
The
Dollar.
Gavrikoff's gonna
But
be too much.
I was going to say one thing just to push back on the whole the Laviolette and then firing him and bringing promoting Pecker Moose in for him. Look at what Florida. Now I know it was a little bit different, but 21-22 when Joel Quenneville obviously got fired because of the whole Kyle Beach thing. Andrew Burnett steps in, takes the team, they win the President's Trophy, get knocked out. But Florida didn't look at their success and say, okay, let's keep Andrew Burnett. Nope, got rid of him. Goes natural, and they bring in Paul Maurice. But that's again, what a smart organization. You can't do this whole push. No, you have to make the best
They
decision.
didn't worry about
for the
optics
team
or
and then
get all sentimental.
And then obviously they make the big culture changing move. They trade Huberto and Winger and Uyghur
Huberto was their franchise leader in like fucking everything.
Calgary for Matthew Tkachuk. Struggle, make the final, rebound, and then win a cup.
This is why during the off season, and everyone would comment on the live streams and videos that I would do and be like, "You want to make tweaks to a President's Trophy team that was 6 wins away from the cup?
Yeah,
because you're not good enough. You're not good enough." And you just saw on the other end of the ice in that series what that team did after winning the President's Trophy. And yes, they didn't make the conference finals, but they won the President's Trophy still and still made the second round. You saw what they did. Why would you not want to take notes at all from that series and make the changes that are necessary? And that's why I'm worried. I don't know if there's even going to be changes. I could totally see a world where they run the shit back minus Kreider, and the top 9 is some combination of Cooley, Zibanejad, Miller, and then you have Trocheck, Lafreniere, Panarin, and then Berard, Offman, Perreault, or Parsonen. But that's my thing. It's like one of these younger guys are going to be buried on the fourth line, which
too much.
Do you want that?
Like
which,
that.
Why'd you keep?
I've looked
So
at every
stupid.
single combination of like the wingers and how to get the younger guys into the top 6. You can't because Miller and Zibanejad have to be staple to each other.
Yeah.
And Panarin's there too. So that leaves you with what? That leaves you with two open wing spots on the top 6 for like 4 guys, like Cooley, Lafreniere, Offman, and Perreault. You're not going to be able to fit it. That's why you got to trade 1 or 2 of Panarin or Zibanejad. You have to.
Yeah, it's got to be multiple forwards.
Also, to push back on what people would say about the Mike, you're 2 wins away or whatever from the Stanley Cup, or 6 wins away from winning a Stanley Cup. My counter to them would be, if you played that series, like Rangers-Panthers, if you played that series 10 times, how many times did the Rangers win that series?
against Tampa?
No, against the
Florida?
Panthers. The Panthers, yeah. How many times did the Rangers win that series?
0. They don't win that series.
I don't know. I would say like maybe 1 or 2. I'd say 1 or 2.
There was a few mistakes.
There was a few. It was close, dude. Every game was a 1-goal game.
Maybe if Getzel was here.
All right, wait. I get it. Yes, I get it. If Gensel was there, maybe 6 or 7 times out of 10. I don't know, but
look at that fucking
look
eight,
at-
dude. I don't know.
I'm sorry, but look at fucking game 3. The Rangers were up 4-2 heading to the third period, and then Florida just fucking flips a switch and just fucking buries them.
that's when the series they won the series.
Thing that
I
happened.
thought.
It's the
Yeah,
exact
absolutely.
same thing
Game
that
3.
happened against Tampa. Up 2 rip, like holy cow.
They won game
But that's the
3,
thing, and they still
Yeah.
won, the Rangers still won game 3. That's
Yeah,
the thing.
But it's the principle of the fact that it was that close when it shouldn't have been. Like, you need to be able to shut them down at that point in the third period.
It's their unwilling. It's so weird because the Rangers in the early 2010s was always overcompensating, getting as much as they could, going to the point of trading a 5th-round pick for Rafael Diaz when they knew they didn't even need. They knew they didn't need him. Excuse me. They knew they did not need him. I'm fucking all over the map right now. Knew they did not need him, but they said let's overcompensate and have too much good assets. Meanwhile, the Rangers now, they've had 2 runs at the conference finals plus a President's Trophy and have done the minimum to make the team better. Dude, like, they really fucking actually he put his fucking 6-shooters in his fucking holster with Jack Roslovic and what's the fucking
Wenberg.
and Wenberg. Like that's like your fucking holster moment.
Chad
fucking
Burrito.
shit,
You
poop,
said
and
it.
fucking diarrhea. Like that's your 3 moves. Like there's so much they could have done, and I don't understand why they sat on their fucking hands, dude. Like,
But then this year we wanted to
This
trade a
is
first and
dumb.
go get JT Miller. Now we want
They-
to trade assets
now
and
we
go
wanna
get
trade
like,
when we
listen.
did, when we were like, and this is not to cut you off, Joey. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
But like,
No.
the thing, and this is people were getting so upset at us. Getting JT Miller was nobody's gripe. I fucking love JT Miller.
Yes.
I thought the guy should have been here 2-3 years ago. But that's just what it is. He should have been here 2 or
It's
3
what we
years
said
ago.
earlier in the
Yes.
stream. Yes.
It's not even putting lipstick on a pig. It's like fucking putting lipstick on a pig, giving him a fucking tummy tuck, a BBL. Like, you're doing everything you can to make this pig be anything more than but a fucking pig. But this, at the end of the day, it's still a fucking pig.
Playing pretend with the peg. Yeah.
Yeah, how about you fucking kill the pig or get
It's
a
like-
or get like a show dog and then put that out there and you'll win a fucking prettiest dog competition. Stop
when
putting the pig out there.
when you
It's
cook
not
it,
all good, okay? It's
slow-
not.
When you cook it and slow roast it and you bite down into it, it's still just a pig.
It's still just a fucking pig, and the team still fucking sucks. They have so many issues. Like, we had problems on defense, and how do we solve the problem on defense? Let's get an $8 million, about to be 32-year-old center. That worked out great, but we still missed the fucking playoffs.
Their record was worse with him than without him. Still.
Yeah, it's
And it's not JT Miller's fault. It's Chris
No.
Drury's fault.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the thing.
right. And again,
Like-
we all agree on this. No one here is upset that JT Miller exists.
No,
No one.
I love
we,
him.
we can even all agree that he's probably a top 20, maybe even top 15 center in the NHL.
I
That is
agree.
it is not his fault he's here. The question was, why are we trying to get better when we should have been selling, trying to get worse to get a better fucking draft pick? Because I remind everybody, if we would have just fucking lost one game and not sent another one to overtime, we would have had the draft pick slot that turned to the first overall pick
If we
this
lost
fucking year.
one game to the Islanders,
It's
one of those
it's just
games.
like I just don't. I would love to have been a fly in the wall in the room to hear Chris Drury talk in between his fucking salad where he replaces croutons with crayons. They're like, what the fuck is going through your head? Oh, we're fucking 12 points out of a fucking playoff spot. I have a great fucking idea. Instead of selling and bringing in futures that we could just use to get better next year, let's get better now and shit on our chance at a good draft
That's
pick.
exactly why when they trade Trouba, we literally were able to celebrate for a few hours,
Yep.
and then they
Yes.
extended Igor the night
It's-
of, and it's like,
It's like, how do you? That's another thing too. You were given a gift. You were given an EA Sports NHL joke of a gift. You got someone to not just take Trouba off your fucking hands, take his entire contract and pay you to do so. That guy gave you a gun and said, "Please fucking shoot me in Minecraft, and I will reward you for it." And you pissed it away in fucking 48 hours. It just made
Not
no
even.
sense.
not even, it was
40
5 or 6 hours.
And you didn't even give yourself a fucking chance. And what did you do with the $8 million? You fucking kept Urho Vakanainen. You got Carson Soucy, who was quite
Will
literally
Borgen.
Jacob
I would've
Trouba with a
signed-
different fucking name. You traded Kakako for Borgen, which is like, okay, great. Borgen will be cool for like 10 games. And then you find out we probably could have got a first-round pick for the guy. And then the Kakko trade would be like, holy cow, we fucking nailed this
But
Kakko.
10
No,
games of
you
Will
extended
Borgen.
him.
10 games of Will Borgen and Keandre Miller warranted that extension.
It's like,
It's literally just to save face with the cockroach.
But
That's the only
the
reason they
start
extended
Will
him.
Cooley had to the season didn't earn him that 8-year
it's
extension.
fucking crazy.
That's nuts.
And I also want to say again, too, this is not me shitting on Will Borgen. I actually think Will Borgen is an okay defenseman. I think you can win with him as your number 5. It's not his fault he got paid, and I don't think he's bad. To tell you the truth, Will Borgen on this Rangers team as the number 5, maybe last year, the Rangers probably do better against Florida. But fact of the matter is, why are we extending him right now? To be a number 4, I know maybe that's a bit of a reach, but I could have accepted it more last year than him making the Brendan Smith 3 years over $4 million, because that's what he's gonna fucking be. Is he's just gonna be another Brendan Smith. You acquire him at the deadline instead of fucking letting him walk or moving him for more. You fucking give him a 3-year extension.
Will
And it
Borgen-
sucks.
I can't wait to see Will Borgen play on the fucking wing.
Borgen and
Oh,
Soucy were steaming hot dog shit for Seattle in the
Michael
playoffs.
Haley experience.
God,
Like Borgen and Soucy were dog shit in sheltered minutes for Seattle, and Drury's like, "That's the one."
that's
Euro
my-
Vakanainen could crack the fucking
That's
Ducks
the one.
lineup. That's the one.
That's the one. That's the
Isn't that crazy?
You see
Dude,
that?
that guy's so bad. He's like the number 7, 8 in Anaheim, and Drury's like, you know what? million and a half.
That's a lot.
Like, dude, this isn't the
We're
Make-A-Wish
known for
Foundation.
fixing
We're not
players.
fucking.
That's the
the
one.
But dude, it's stupid. Like, it's like he's literally the fucking
What's this
Make-A-Wish
guy's name?
kid.
Julian
Why are we
Edelman.
fucking giving this guy
Phil,
$1 million
he's
and a
not-
fucking half to eat ass, and not even in the fun way? Just eat ass. He's like, this guy is a number 7, number 8, and you give him $1.5 million to sneak into your top. Like, you by playing him every single night, you are openly admitting that your defense is worse than fucking the Anaheim Ducks. Quite literally the worst defensive team in the NHL. You are admitting to that by him being in your lineup every single night because he couldn't crack their fucking lineup. But no, here we go. $1.5 million.
1.5, yeah.
Yeah, 1.5. Yeah, bring him. Yeah, we'll keep him. Get the fuck out of
Oh
here.
my God.
God.
Drury had so many opportunities to improve the roster. I keep going back to this. I've been talking about it with these guys for a couple of weeks now, and it's just hitting me just how bad the 2021-22 offseason was.
God,
Not
God,
only
what
did
a
he get,
fumble.
not only did he use
Fumble.
the cap space, and you can't say it to me any other way. You can't say, oh, the Rangers were trading Buchnevich no matter what, and they were getting Goudreau no matter what, and you don't look at it like they were using that cap space to sign those players. They got Goudreau, Nemeth, and Reeves for the cap space that was eventually used to sign Pavel Buchnevich.
And
That's
not
how
only-
it played
no,
out.
not
What
only-
did they
the
plan
thing
for that?
Not only did they trade for Reeves, they fucking extended
They
him the same
extended
day.
him too.
The thing that irks me the most about all that is we were under the impression that Eichel was 100% a Ranger.
Yes.
You watch him go to Vegas and win a fucking cup, and you're not sitting to yourself and being like, maybe we should try to find this type of move again. Like, maybe we should actually go through
They
with
had it right there. Oh my God.
And they had it with Gensel last year, and would have been
Mhm.
cheaper, and you probably could have extended Gensel as well if you got Trouba out of here in the summer, which is another
Yeah.
We also didn't
conversation.
even take a swing at Matthew Tkachuk, dude. Like, even if he didn't want to come to New York,
Exactly.
money fucking talks.
He did want to come here. That was one of his 8 teams on. We were one of the 8 teams on that list.
They didn't swing for him, and then
God.
Gensel too. They could have played the long game and said, "All right, here, Sullivan, let's reunite you with Gensel." Boom, right there. But what bothers me the most here is that in the 2022 offseason, the Drury's first offseason as president and GM, the opportunity to swing big was right there. They had all the assets. They had the best farm system.
Yep.
They had the roster players to offer up
Yep.
in a trade. They easily could have blown any team out of the water with their offers with Eichel. They could have offered Zibanejad, Buchnevich, Nils Lundqvist, and a first round pick.
Less
and
than
you
that.
know what they did?
No,
listen,
listen to
and
me.
you know
Hang
what
on a
they did?
second. Hang on a second. Wait. Let me finish here. They could have offered all of that and walked away without being hurt by that at all.
Yeah.
They could have lost nothing. And Eichel and Trocheck could have become a 1 and 2 in like a year time.
And
They
I
could have
told-
gone with Strome there for that 1 year, and they would have been fine. They
Right.
probably would have gone. If Eichel comes back, they probably make it past the conference finals.
Man.
That's how good he is.
Eichel and
They-
Panarin
They
are
could
the
have
fucking
offered the
craziest
freaking
thing
world. What did they get? What did Eichel end up getting? Krebs,
Krebs,
Tuck,
Tuck,
and
and
a
a second.
and did they get a first round
They
pick?
didn't get
They
a
got
first. Nope.
no first out of that.
Which
That's what they
and
got.
I got a
That's
lot
what
of
they
shit.
settled for.
I
That.
got a lot of shit for saying they weren't going to get nearly as much as anybody thought.
And you know what the sad part
And that
is?
was
Because
right.
I told you in the Uber yesterday, they didn't want to move Hedel, Lundqvist, and Kravtsov to go get Jack Eichel.
And none of
And they're
those
all
guys
gone.
got anything for that,
And they're
except
all
for
gone.
Hedel. Yeah, none of those guys.
I mean, Neil's got a first, but
Then we
like
pissed it away.
they gave it away to get Tarasenko.
Yep. And what a shame too. I mean, I'm still like looking back on it. I could at least respect the balls Drury had to get Tarasenko and
And the
Mikola
thing that
and then
annoys
get
me,
Patty Kane, and it just didn't work. At
it
least took
annoys me
sweat.
that it wasn't their fault they got
No.
eliminated by Jersey. How about Lafreniere, who didn't put up a point that
Not a
series?
single point.
Panarin, who was dog shit.
Yeah,
Zibanejad
Panarin
was
was
dog shit.
awful.
Fox shit himself in Game 7.
Yeah, Fox was
But-
terrible.
But apparently it was Kane and Tarasenko.
No,
but they
Kane's-
didn't get over the
Kane
hump.
on the
They-
hump. That I won't get over. Yeah, like that. All right, I understand. I like that he swung big for that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I gave him I remember covering that
Extreme.
trade deadline. We were all talking about
happy
like
about
we were
that.
like, you know
Very
what,
happy.
dude? The guy is taking a fucking swing. Like this is like it was like for the first time in a long time. It was very fun to be a Rangers fan at the deadline where you are in on the top targets and you are making. I mean, that Tarasenko trip is also out of nowhere, but it's like
Yeah.
holy cow! Like, dude, not only is this team young and hungry, but they're fucking bringing in elite talent to take a here. And I at least give him credit for making
You
that
can't
run.
fault Drury for them
No.
losing that series at the very least
No.
because at least he made the effort.
Yes, he tried. He gave it a fucking shot. It's not his fault that his young guys
And the core shit themselves.
He shouldn't have been ashamed. If that's what he felt like, he shouldn't have been ashamed that it didn't work out with them.
No.
And Tarasenko wanted to come back. Kane wanted to come back too.
Yeah.
They wanted to, but they just didn't have the cap space to do it.
In hindsight, I think if they could have found a way to get Tarasenko and Kane both back, but only on 1-year deals, I would have certainly explored that. But Tarasenko this past year on Detroit, definitely glad we didn't keep him longer than a year.
Yeah.
Patty Kane actually didn't do that.
Patty
bad this
Kane
year
2
or
years in
year-
a row.
Yeah, he didn't.
Kane, if
50
they just
points, right?
Yeah.
if they just let the guy get healthy,
Yeah.
and he still put up nearly a point
He
per
put
game in the playoffs,
6 points
On
in
one
7
hit.
games.
One hit.
On one hit.
and he had a lot of good chances in that game 6 too.
He
He
came
played
back
really well.
He came back last year like 57 games, put up like 54 points,
Yep.
almost a point per game.
Yeah.
And then
guy's
this
still
year,
going.
okay, he takes a step back, but okay, he's getting
He's
like,
getting
it's
older,
like 36,
man.
but still, he put up 46.
No,
points,
I
something
actually
like that.
thought Kane was really good in his time with a. The only thing that stood out that when he was bad is when him, Panarin, and Zibanejad were aligned. They were fucking terrible together.
Yep.
Too
But
much there.
who's
Kreider, Trocheck, Kane was such a
Oh,
good line.
Kreider,
Dude, that
Trocheck,
was
Kane was
amazing.
awesome. I love that,
was a
line.
great
Because
fucking line.
Kreider and Trocheck were north-south, and Kreider actually was hitting at that time. He was actually laying the body.
It was
and that
fun
was very rare of him
It
to
was
do that.
really fun watching Kane skate around in a Rangers jersey. That was really
That
fun.
It was
And
so
they
weird, but it was just.
It was weird, but it was
So
it
nice.
was
It was
pretty-
really
it was
fucking
fun
cool.
though.
They
I
should
love
have
that.
brought him back. They
Yeah.
really should have.
I was a
He broke our hearts when he extended in
Or when
Detroit.
yeah.
The Rangers wanted him. I guess they.
I mean, he's going to be a free agent again this offseason.
I don't know. Do you want to go down that route
No,
again?
I
don't
think
think
there's
so.
too many
I think
issues
it's too
right
much.
now.
They're not gonna. No, it's not gonna happen now
No.
because we just talked about the logjam in the
Yeah.
top 9.
that's a guy
that
that
ship sailed.
that's a guy you bring in at this point in his career. That's a guy you bring in when your core is set up and you just need an additional piece.
Yes.
That's not a piece that you have the whole season and build
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
You build with him.
That would
not
be like a
around
Riley
him.
Smith type move, I think.
Yeah.
Like if they traded for him. At the time, I did like the Smith trade because
fucking
I see.
hated it.
I-
from get-go.
I
You
did
were-
like it.
You got so much shit for how much you hated
I
it.
piss off. The Penguins couldn't get rid of that guy for fucking free months prior. They were literally just trying to get rid of the fucking guy. And Jury said, oh, broken, but might be fun to fix. I'll fucking pay you for it. What a fucking moron.
On July 1st, when there's an entire free agent class available to choose from,
Of players better than him that you could have
You
signed
could have
for
brought-
less.
they can't get extended.
It was the depth players
Before
that they should have gotten,
they
not
could
the
pursue.
stars. Not
I don't think so.
Wait, what was it?
I was saying they could have brought back Kane that offseason even.
Yeah, they could have.
They could have brought back Kane.
no. He
No,
signed
he
an
extended.
extension. No,
Yeah,
he extended.
for
He
Yeah,
extended. That's why I said he broke our hearts.
Right,
we wanted
right.
him back, but he.
Right. I mean, even if it wasn't Kane, Warren Fogle
Warren
was available.
Fogle was the big
It's
one.
the
Dude. That
it was the
a
depth piece. All the GMs missed out on the depth pieces.
great
Those
ones
were
in
the
the
gems of
Yeah.
the free agent class.
Eric
Like
Robinson.
Vogel, Eric Robinson, Sean Walker,
Amadio.
Matt Roy,
Oh,
Amadio.
my
God.
So many
Yeah.
guys.
All of us in this room also said when they got Riley Smith, if he was the third line right winger, okay, fine.
But we all knew he was
But
going to be the first.
we knew he was going to be the first line winger next to Kreider and Zibanejad, so we didn't give a fuck.
Yep.
And we knew it wasn't going to matter.
It just trading a second round pick made no fucking sense.
No.
Like,
Not at
how
all.
are you trading a second round pick for a guy whose numbers are greatly deteriorating?
And
He
by
just
the
came
way,
up with
traded more than Pittsburgh traded to get him
To get-
after,
Yeah.
by
after
a
a
lot.
good year.
by a lot, dude. Like, and again, I say again, they couldn't get rid of the guy for fucking free. Why would you pay for him?
We don't know about the 2027 draft class, though. To be honest, we don't know.
But
what
the
that
fact
is.
of the matter is that second round pick could have been used to get a more important player down the line if you intended on competing. That's what they're like. Oh, it's just a second round pick. Oh, it's in 3 years. But you in fucking 3 years. What if the Rangers are a second round fucking pick short of getting a guy they could really use to make a fucking run? I mean, God damn it! Did Gensel even get a first round pick? No, Gensel. He didn't get a first
No,
round
the
pick.
league-
No,
the
we got a whole bunch of prospects.
league
Yeah,
in
and
has
the
the
second.
and a
biggest
second.
boner.
Like, oh, that second could have fucking worked out.
For
you know?
whatever reason, though, this league has the biggest boner for Michael Bunting. Like that trade with Pittsburgh and
Oh my
Nashville
God.
at this deadline.
Oh,
Novak and Shen
Yeah, I mean,
for
makes
Michael
sense.
Bunting. That was so fucking stupid.
yeah. Bunting was
Yeah.
great in Toronto, but only because that guy was riding shotgun. That guy.
That's not what Matthew
No.
Nyes is. That's like
No,
Matthew
yeah,
Nyes is
yeah,
his
yeah.
own
Yeah.
player.
One thing is a good player if he's making like $1 million, $2 million is on your third line and he's just giving you effective
And
third line minutes.
He got Rookie of the Year votes, didn't he?
Yes,
He did. He
He's
got
like
a lot.
25-year-old. And dude, I think he scored 30 goals, did he not? As a rookie, technically.
Something like
It
that.
was ridiculous. I know he had at
That's
least
good.
50 points. He was good. He did really
Yeah.
fucking well. But man, like I don't know if you guys recall a lot of the free agents coming up this year, but I believe it's a really good RFA class this year.
Yes.
And just
Very
not
good.
and just a mediocre UFA class.
Marco Rossi, JJ Paterka.
Yeah.
Marco
The
Rossi, I'm
thing
all
with
over.
this upcoming class is, like, I want them to be so careful with the money. Like, I want them to be
Yes.
able
yes.
to pursue a Kempe, Kaprizov, and
Yeah.
Eichel McDavid in the following offseason.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so with Bumpy, because I just looked up, he didn't put up 30 points. He has 223 goal seasons, but 21-22 he put up 63 points.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a sick. I mean, dude, that's a
That's a good
really
year.
good fun. And he was making what $950,000.
Yeah.
Like that. Like
Insane
again,
value.
A depth, really good depth find. The Rangers just have not had a depth find that lasted longer than
But
the end
that-
of the season.
But then again, look at like we talked about the 22-23 deadline.
Yes.
With Tarasenko, they got Mikkola, who was pretty good for them
He
in
was
that small
solid.
stretch. And then what happens?
He goes to Florida.
He looked good when Lindgren was hurt. That's the thing that I didn't understand about it.
Mhm.
And I was,
To
and
be
that was,
honest, all of our
and out of,
defensemen look way better.
and out of
when
all the
Lindgren was
guys,
hurt.
and out
Yeah,
of
but he
all,
was playing with Fox, so I'm saying it looked
Yeah.
good.
and that,
Mikkola and Fox.
Yeah.
and out of all the guys, because I want Kane back, but I was really disappointed with Mikkola left.
Yeah,
I agree.
that sucked. Also too. What was I say
I
about
saw a lot of people complaining about.
I thought he was a
Mikkola
very,
at the
I thought
time
he, I
that
thought he was a
wasn't
very good
enough,
skater.
that
He
He
could
was
carry
very
the
good.
puck out. He could
Yes.
move the puck up the
The
ice.
only thing I didn't like about him is there were times he would play like he's 5'10" when he's
Yes,
Yes,
that's what a lot of people said.
Yeah, but that guy, if that guy was in place of Susie or Morgan right now, I don't think
And
anyone
it
would really
sucks.
complain.
It sucks
I think
that
they're fine
carries
on
more
5%.
weight than the other stuff, like the
Mhm.
carry the puck up the ice, passing, like the fact that he's
there
6 foot
were
whatever.
times though that it was fucking annoying that
Yeah.
he just was like, you're a fucking walking giraffe on skates. Like,
Yes.
please use your fucking frame.
do anything but stand still.
You're a walking giraffe on skates.
No, Mikkola would have been a because what is Mikkola making in Florida?
2.5.
I mean, come on. I mean, he's making $1 million more than Vacanoni.
Yeah.
He's essentially making almost half of what Morgan is.
Oh, fucking say that shit right now, Matt.
I want to see the stats when Fox and Mikkola were.
Yeah, I'm actually
Paired
I've been
together.
pretty
Shohei Ohtani over here with the iPad.
Yeah, I actually am curious to see
iPad
what Fox and Mikkola were together.
I want to look at the expected against per 60.
Mikola Fox. number
Mikkola
6.
Schneider say number.
It's just like all
2.75 expected goals against. Actually, worse than I thought it
Wow,
was.
yeah.
that's bad.
I thought the pair looked good from the eye test. At least.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If you're going off
It's
of
just-
expected goals, though, I mean,
it's just all those.
I don't like that.
It's just
stat.
all those deadline moves,
I
right?
use shots.
Vetrano, Mikkola, and that all the fucking deadline moves, fucking jury keys.
Yeah,
It's
shot
fucking it's Chad Rui.
It's like,
Yeah,
bro,
Out of
oh
all
my
of
God, dude.
I still don't understand to this day how they didn't re-sign Vetrano after that run. And he
Well,
goes to Anaheim
what
for
is-
3.65. It's like, what are we doing?
46%.
Expected shot against.
Not the worst.
Well, I mean, look at the Goodrow contract, right? $3.6 million.
Yes.
Fucking Florida signs Evan Rodriguez
Yes,
$3 million.
Evan
Toronto,
Rodriguez.
Never try it though.
We talked about Evan Rodriguez. Was it this past offseason?
No,
Offseason?
Whenever he signed in Florida.
Whenever
Yeah,
he
he
signed
signed.
in Florida.
He signed the year.
I really wanted him.
Well, he signed the
He signed the
offseason.
1 year, right? The 1 year deal that we wanted him on, right? Is
Well,
that
no,
what he signed? Or
no,
was
he
that-
that was
signed
Josh
no.
Archibald, I think.
No, Rodriguez signed the multi-year deal. The offseason after Florida went to the final.
Yes.
And Florida picked them up.
That's the one we wanted him. That's
Because
what we really
Eric
wanted.
Stahl retired and
Yes.
they needed a third line player.
Dude, Eric Stahl, he's a special advisor
Yeah,
in
they
Buffalo.
just, yeah, he
Yeah.
just
Like
came
Eric
in.
Stahl, like I know his tenure here was short with the Rangers, but like that'd be a good guy to have in as a skills coach, right? Like having the organization.
Mark Stone.
Oh right, yeah, Mark Stahl said
Stahl.
right. But dude, but all joking aside, like the Rangers supposedly have this great alumni program. Again, I know it was a very short period of time, but how is Eric Stahl another guy like, you know what, this guy was a #1 center in the NHL, came to us, sucks, and then revived his career and had a stretch from ages 32 to 36, which is a large part of your fucking
With
roster right now.
Minnesota.
With Minnesota, we scoring 30 and 40 fucking goals at ages 33, 4, and 5. How is that not a guy like, wow, what a
I
fucking
forgot
great
about that.
and a great hockey mind, dude. He was I think he wore a letter on every single team he was on except for the Rangers. Like, how is that not a guy you look at to bring in? Again, you hold over this thing. We got this fucking great alumni fucking thing. You've got Jet Ortmeyer fucking developing first overall picks, but you won't fucking bring in Eric Stahl. At least, not that I'm saying it was ever even an option, but like, how is that not something that's explored? Like, there's like fucking like all these former players, retirees. How are you not looking, especially that played in the modern NHL? Because Eric Stahl played in the modern NHL. Mark Stahl kind of did, but like. Not that, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know if Brian Boyle would want to do it, but like just hearing his opinions on a podcast and on TV.
yeah, I love Brian.
That guy would be fucking great to have as the
Callahan
coach.
too, dude. Callahan, I'm sure would be a great fucking.
I hope
coach.
one of them are replacing Joe.
You know who I actually think would be a pretty good guy to bring in if he ever wanted to get back into hockey? Brandon Dubinsky, I think would be a great guy.
I agree with that.
Because Dubinsky,
He's honest too.
He's
Or Broussard,
on-
very.
I like
Or
Broussard.
Broussard, but you know, with Dubinsky and Broussard, because I find them to be quite similar in just the way they played and the energy that they brought.
Yeah.
Where like you keep saying you want the team to be harder to play against. Brendan Dubinsky was the biggest loss that the Rangers experienced when they had those cup runs in the 2010s. Because I know you had the trade to get Rick Nash, and I'm not even bashing the Nash trade because at the time, how do you say no to Rick
needed
fucking
to
Nash?
do it.
But losing Brandon Dubinsky left the biggest hole on that team. When you lost Dubinsky, you did not recover from that until you got Derek Brassard. I loved it, but Brandon Dubinsky was one of my first Rangers jerseys. And I think Brandon Dubinsky on that 2014-2015 run, you can go quite far and maybe further with Dubinsky. I don't know. That would be a cool guy to bring in. I love Doobie.
As like a skills coach.
Any coach. Just to have him in the organization around the young guys, I think it's a good guy to have.
I mean,
Brassard too.
they wanted to do it with St. Louis as the coach.
He wasn't ready.
It's so annoying. Like, at least just to go back to that conversation for a second with Jeff Gordon, like at least there was a vision and idea, and I loved how transparent they were with the fans too.
Yes, I love that.
I love is when a team tells me the direction they're going in, and I can actually see the blueprint.
Yeah.
With Drury,
That's why we love
I don't
David
know.
Stearns.
We love him in the seats. This is why, though, this is like my biggest gripes with Drury, though. Like, you never see him talk to the media.
No.
You don't know what the fuck he's doing ever.
Yeah.
And there's no clear plan at all.
No.
There just isn't at all. Like,
Jeff
I can't
Gordon
sit here
had
and
his
say,
own style about it.
Yeah.
I would have loved. I wish there was a portal to look into to see what the alternate universe where JD and JG actually got to see out their rebuild vision.
yeah,
Eichel's
The one
definitely
thing, the
Eichel's
biggest thing,
here,
they should have put Kako in the AHL.
And they Kako and Lafreniere, neither one of them should have been in the NHL off the rip. He should have been smart enough to trade Kreider to make that spot
The
up
thing
when they were ready.
with
too.
Lafreniere is that at the time his first season, the AHL was like so condensed because of COVID.
Yeah, I don't
They
even
were
think
only
he
playing like
could've
2
played,
teams.
He would have had to have played.
I talked to
the-
Austin Rushoff there, and he's like, "Yeah, it's just us playing the same 2 teams every week."
Also, Lafreniere would have had to go back to QMJHL
QMJHL.
because of his age. But
Yeah.
I mean,
the only thing I wonder with Drury, I want to know what he thinks next season is. Like, are they trying to win? Is it an evaluation year? Like, what the fuck is it? I don't
you
think
don't
it
have
is.
much time for
And
evaluation, dude.
Honestly, I was gonna say
It should
that
be, but they don't have time.
They don't. That's the thing. Like, it's such a double-edged sword because I would love an evaluation year, especially with Sullivan coming in like the Mets did last year, and then we saw out of nowhere they go to the fucking NLCS. But
Yeah.
like, save your money for next offseason to then get the
Ball
big
out.
free agent to add on top of whatever you build here. But let the young guys develop this year and see what you have, see who fits Sully's system, and then next year you really go all in to try and
Yeah,
He already knows
I
he's
would
gonna
hate.
do
I would
well.
hate for them to make long-term commitments that they might regret now. The only long-term commitment guy I would look at this offseason, if it's not done via trade but done via an offer sheet, is Matty Nyes.
yeah, if it's a young player, then
Yeah,
yes.
I'm okay with that because I do think in the long shot dream chaser that this is that McDavid ever did come to the Rangers, that Matty Nyes would be the perfect Zach Hyman for McDavid. If I mean Cooley could probably be that guy. I think Matty
you
Nyes
could put
is
both
higher.
of them, and it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, I mean, I would. I'm not telling you the Rangers need to punt this offseason, but they've got to be very, very careful about how much term they give out. If
They got to be
This is
judicious.
why-
yes, if they're serious about taking a big swing next offseason, because next year's
The
UFA
only-
class,
I
The
also
only
wanna
hope
say-
of the Rangers, let's put it like simply, the only hope the Rangers have of winning Stanley Cup is if they get one of Eichel or McDavid next
And
offseason.
I
That's it.
want
They're not going to win the Cup this year.
They can't name a captain this year.
No,
they can't because
definitely not.
No.
If you name Trocheck captain,
Not yet.
that is a big mistake.
Not
because,
yet. Don't do it.
Because you have to move him if you're getting Eichel or McDavid. You have to move Trocheck.
Because you got to
Or
figure.
Miller.
You got to figure going into this year, the core is 32. Going into next year, the core is 33. You got Mika, Trocheck, JT Miller, all over 33.
Yeah.
Panarin will likely be gone at that point. I think they're going to let him walk in free agency.
That's why I think they're. I think
Unless
they
he
have
comes
to
back
trade him.
for really,
Yeah,
really team.
and you
No,
know what
yeah.
too?
Don't even waste your pennies
No.
on Panarin.
No.
He's not going to fit in Sullivan's system. He doesn't show up in the playoffs. We've seen enough. I don't care if he will take a discount of $5 million.
Yeah,
here.
and
Do not bring him
mathematically,
back.
if the Rangers aren't going to make any moves on defense to improve the defense, it is not impossible to leave next free agency, again, pipe dream, to leave next year's free agency with Connor McDavid and Kirill Kaprizov.
Damn, wait, Kaprizov's a free agent too? I
Yeah.
thought he got extended.
Kempe, Kaprizov, Eichel,
McDavid.
McDavid are all free agents.
You don't think Minnesota's going to extend Kaprizov?
I think they're going to
I feel
try,
like- I
but
feel
I
like
think
they
would.
Kaprizov would not be doing himself justice to test free agency.
Eichel, I
As
stand
a
by
cap
it.
flop. Yeah.
Eichel would be the dumbest to not test free agency because you're
Yes.
either getting the team that's desperate after not winning the McDavid sweepstakes, or
Yes.
you're the best free agent in that class if
Yes.
McDavid extends.
That's why I was shocked that
Yeah.
I was shocked that Erik Karlsson and Drew Doughty didn't go to free agency that year. I thought that was a mistake for both of them. They should have both went to free agency because I know they made a boatload of money now, but they probably could have made even more. I mean, they would have been $12 million defense with them at the free agency. But I am way okay with the Rangers doing a bunch of low risk 1 year signings and hopefully, man,
Kyle Connor's a UFA too.
Oh yeah, Kyle Connor. I forgot that was the other one.
oh my god,
And then Panarin too, if you want to just like.
yeah, just
You want
Kale-
someone with
Kale-
speed.
Kale McCarr's a UFA too, but I think he's going to
No,
extend.
there's no
No,
chance.
McCarr-
His extension's
McCarr-
already up.
No, McCarr's not a UFA that year. That's a bug. I don't know why.
Oh,
My brother brought that up too. He was like, "It says McCarr's a free agent." I'm like, "No, McCarr."
There's no way. He just
No.
signed an extension.
No, he has 3 years left. 2 years after this, I think. 2 or 3 years left after this. But when McCarr does become available,
But I mean, but you talk about like you seriously could get away with a pretty
Alex Tuck is UFA.
that I know.
Oh, man.
That's
But you could get away with an NHL average defense if you bring in McDavid. I mean, this is just anyone can say this, but if you bring in Kaprizov and McDavid, you could get away with a very, very average defense. You can get away with Fox, Miller, Schneider.
see. That's where you could get away with it
Because
because look at what they're doing with fucking Picard and
Yes.
Stuart Skinner as the goalies.
Dude, no kidding, dude.
They might go to the cup
Calvin
again.
Calvin
Pickard.
Picard is fucking on.
They might go to the fucking cup again.
Dude, Calvin Picard literally went from like everyone's favorite immaculate grid puck doku guy to like this guy might be the
It might be Aiden Hill 2.0 now.
Yeah, like for no reason other than the fact that he's on a stacked fucking
Stuart Skinner.
This is why you don't overpay a goalie.
fucking
No,
nuts,
you
man.
can't say that, dude.
Yeah, you can't
I
say
know.
that.
You know what? I'll leave the room now.
But man, but there's so much other stuff that needs to happen. They would if they wanted to bring in McDavid and Kaprizov, you've got to trade Borg and you need to save the money. Susie's contract will be up.
Trocheck, you got him.
Yeah, Trocheck. I think
How
he's
much
pretty
money
much.
is Calvin Pickard made again?
I don't even think he's on a 1-1.
It's not even. It can't be over $1 million.
How much money?
I genuinely
I need to know.
genuinely think he might be on a 2-way deal.
I need
I
to
think
know
he
this.
is because didn't they have who was the other goalie they had earlier in the year? Or no,
This
no,
is
no,
like-
Jack Campbell. They had
Yeah,
last
Jack
year.
Campbell.
This is
Yeah.
the easiest decision Chris Knobloch's ever had to make. He's putting Calvin Pickard in that
Yep.
like, every
Yeah.
game.
Yeah,
This
he's
is
making
easy.
$1 million.
Meanwhile, we're paying 11.5 to try
And Winnipeg is
Right.
paying fucking 8.5 to
for Connor Hellebuck. Yeah, I mean that
Hell sucks.
that's not good either.
Yeah, I can't really make comparisons with Hellebuck anymore, dude. That guy's a playoff choke.
Yeah,
Connor
I
Hella
said
sucks.
it. I said it that like I
I
hate the Igor contract still, but I owe 31 an apology for
Yes.
comparing him to Hellebuck.
I so wanted St. Louis to close that game out. I really wanted it just so I could say
Oh,
it's
yeah.
I was
it's
so
just like
ready
the
for
best
that.
goal in the
Dude,
world.
they would have gotten pissed on by Dallas, though, dude. I still think Dallas
Doesn't matter.
is good.
Doesn't matter. Exactly.
Dallas,
I wanted
I think,
to
makes
see
it
the
for
upset. I wanted to see the
I
upset.
like it on a dog. That would have been a really good series to watch.
Yeah, that was
What a
pretty cool.
playoffs though, boys! Like the
Who's
2 game
everyone-
7s were insane.
Yeah, it was fun to watch.
What's everyone's cup final matchup as of now? I know you have Toronto, Joey, but who do you have in the
Yeah.
West?
It wasn't in my bracket, but that's who I'm picking.
Who do you have?
Toronto. Oh man. Oh my God! I'll go with what Matty M said. I'm gonna say Edmonton, Toronto, all Canadian final.
Matt, what do you think?
I still got to back my Panthers.
Yeah.
So I think the Panthers will go to the final in the East and then the West. If Heiskanen comes back to Dallas, because he's still not back in the lineup,
Man.
I mean, that's
It'll be trouble in paradise.
because then I don't know about Vegas. Because I think Edmonton probably knocks out Vegas now.
I think Edmonton sweeps Vegas.
Yeah.
That's insane.
What do you guys?
So
What's
probably from out of the West. Fuck, I mean, we could see a finals rematch again.
That's my
Yeah,
answer.
that we could-
That's yours.
So I'll go Edmonton and
When
Florida.
I filled out my
First.
bracket, that's what it was originally. Like the very first one, I'm like, wait, no, I can't have this. So I went back and I was like,
I
oh,
I
no.
do Florida only because I don't think the Hurricanes or the Capitals are any close.
No,
It's
exactly.
whoever comes
That's-
out of that series.
They're
Whoever comes out of Florida, Toronto
Yeah,
is going to the
it's-
finals.
Yeah, it's gonna be the Atlantic
absolutely
Division.
that.
I think it's Edmonton, Florida, and I think
Sorry.
Edmonton wins this one. Sorry, Joe.
No, I
I thought
understand.
you were done. Sorry.
And I say Dallas only because they're gonna just absolutely tear up Picard.
That-
if he's in.
That's mine. Yeah, I
There's
have
just no
Dallas
way.
and I have Florida.
That's okay.
I think
That'll be a
Dallas-
good
I want
rematch, right?
Edmonton to
That's
go.
a
I
cup
want a
rematch,
rematch.
is it not? Didn't Florida and Dallas play?
No.
each
No,
other?
that was
No.
Tampa, Dallas. I-
You're right.
Originally said Florida would win just because I thought they were going to manhandle Toronto, honestly, and I
Yeah.
thought
They look
that,
beat
I
up
thought
and
between
slow.
beating Toronto, beating Tampa as quickly as they did, and beating whoever comes out of
Toronto
the Carolina Washington
Yeah.
series
Yeah,
is getting
it's gonna be-
molested by
Absolutely.
is getting absolutely murdered by Florida. I thought Florida would win. Now I think Dallas might actually just win it.
Florida
Yeah,
Florida
it's
looks
close.
too hurt. I think you could tell
They're
like,
running out of gas.
Yeah, I do. This is 3 years in a row of 10. First of all, 2 years in a row of 20 plus playoff games. Now you got another year they might go 20 plus. I think they're too beat up now. I mean, if they could, good for them. I don't see how it's fucking possible.
And it was only 5 games against
Yeah,
Tampa Bay.
I
and they
just-
already look.
I
Like,
think.
yeah.
I think Edmonton's going to win the cup this year. I don't think McDavid will allow for anything less.
You know what's a narrative that's no one's talking about with Florida? Why I think they're down there series 2? Bobrovsky's been fucking wolf shit. Like,
Oh my god, he's
dude.
so bad.
he's so bad, but no, he won the cup last year, so
And
you can pay your
The
goalie double
fact the
digits.
announcers say, "Oh, I wouldn't want any other goaltender except for Sergei Bobrovsky."
He looks
in
so
in
fucking bad.
cup-winning
He's
game.
the reason they
Crazy.
lost. I don't even remember if it was game 1 or 2 of this series just now. Might have even been both. I mean, they outplayed. I think more game 2. They outplayed Toronto, and
Game 2, the Panthers outplayed.
yeah, and
Yeah.
Bobrovsky couldn't stop a fucking beach ball.
No, dude, that was hard to watch. That was actually really hard
Yeah.
to watch.
I thought Toronto. Sorry, excuse me. I thought Toronto played well in both games. Game 1 for sure, though. I was very impressed.
Yeah.
Very impressed.
Yeah,
the fact
no,
they were able to take 2 in a row.
Yeah.
I'm super impressed by that.
It-
I
it-
did not expect that to happen.
It was game 2 because Florida tied it up, and then all of a sudden Toronto responds
Yeah.
right after
Yeah.
because
Yes.
they left it in a
Immediately.
softy to Morgan Riley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh wait, yeah. Was that was game 1? That was
Was
Seth
that
Jones scored on the power play,
Yes.
and then right after,
Yeah.
Oh, I would.
right
Yeah,
after
no, no, no,
Morgan
yeah.
Riley
Yeah.
scored on
No,
the
I
2-on-1.
thought it was,
He beat him short side.
I think in both
I think it happened
games
in
there
both.
were in both games there were quick
Wait, did it-
responses.
Oh,
I know.
shit.
I know.
Yeah,
the game
you're
they
right.
just played, they responded like that. Dude.
No, yeah,
It's
Lundell
like-
scored, and then Marner scored literally
Yeah.
right after Marner scored.
Okay, yeah.
It's also
That was
crazy.
what
I
I
think
thought
it's
of.
funny as hell too, just to make fun of Toronto real quick because I love making fun of Toronto. That they wanted of all their core pieces, William Nylander is the one they were trying to run out of town. And you could argue right now he's the best.
He's the
of the three.
best one.
He's the best of the 3.
Marner's the guy they're trying to run out of town more, and then he's even
In the playoffs,
He
Marner
didn't even play well.
disappeared.
Yeah.
Disappeared under Sheldon Keefe.
the
Now he's
playoffs.
Playoffs.
Scapegoat.
yeah. That's Mitch Marner. Yeah, but have faith in Craig Berube. He's gonna get the job done. I believe it.
I
could see
If
it, but I
he
don't
wins,
think they get
if he
past
wins the
Dallas.
cup, they better build a fucking statue for that man
Yeah.
out there
The
in
thing
front
I'll
of
say is-
whatever their arena is called. I forget what it's called.
Scotiabank.
Scotiabank. It used to be the ACC.
Yeah, it's the ACC, the Air Canada. Yeah.
The only thing I'll say is that there's been one coach in the modern era to win cups with multiple teams, so Craig Berube has his work cut out for him in that.
They should build him 2 statues then. One in his home in Alberta.
They should have wrecked the second one.
And then one in
They should erect as many as they could.
Yeah, the more erect, the more things that are erect, I think the better for just everyone in general. Well, it's the thing about erections when you're doing it. Well, hold on though. I do want to make one comment about the playoffs. I do think no matter what happens, Cup final regardless, that the most entertaining round of playoffs is going to be Edmonton versus Dallas. I think it's going to be the best series.
Conference
Yeah,
finals.
that's
Yeah.
gonna be.
And that'll be a
That is
rematch
always-
of last year.
Yes,
Too.
and that is going to be a sick conference final.
I think
dude.
that's going to be more of the finals than the actual finals.
Yes, that is going to be fun as hell to watch, dude. That is going to be running gun
If it's
nonstop.
Toronto Edmonton in the finals, though, I think that's.
I think
That would be pretty cool.
But Edmonton, oh my gosh, Rantanen's on such a heater right now, man. Back
the
to
rest
back
of Dallas
hat-trick,
really is
6 goals in the last 2 games.
something of note too. A former Ranger, no matter what, is going to win the Cup again.
Yes,
So that's-
Yeah, I
Rangers
was
goes-
thinking about that the
Wait,
other day. I
really?
went through every single team.
Yeah,
and
every
at least one.
team has a former Ranger. yeah.
Roslovic's on the Hurricanes. Who's on Washington?
McElrath.
McElrath.
Yeah.
Ty Emerson's on Edmonton.
Ty Emerson's on Edmonton. Who's on
Blackwell's
Stars.
on Dallas.
Blackwell's on Dallas.
And Niels is still there.
Yeah.
Barron's on
Florida?
Barron's on
Mikola's on there. Toronto. Who's on Toronto?
Ryan Reeves.
Ryan
Reeves. Yeah.
No, wait. Reeves got waived, didn't he?
Yeah, but he's still there,
still
and
there.
now he's on the roster.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, for the
Shit.
playoffs, he's on the roster.
we
Yeah.
got 2 more. Let's see who can get them.
Okay. What teams did we not do? Winnipeg. Morgan
Morgan
Barron.
Barron,
Neil
yeah.
Pionk.
Neil Pionk. And then what's the last team?
Vegas.
Vegas.
Howard.
Brett Howard. Yeah.
Bing bong.
And was there one other also? Oh, Riley Smith on Vegas. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Riley
right.
Smith.
Riley Smith.
There you go.
How can we forget?
So a former Rangers winning the Cup as always.
multiple possibly.
Wow. Watch. Reeves
This-
not going to be able to lift the cup.
This
He's
is
not
nothing
playing.
new. We are used to this.
Yeah, this 10. This is nothing now.
How long has this stream been going?
Over an hour for
An hour
sure.
and 40.
Hour 40.
Damn.
Oh, dude, it's 11:40. Let's go play Cards Against Humanity.
All right, everybody.
Yeah, we got the.
That does it for us
Yeah.
on Ice Cold Takes. I hope you guys enjoyed this long episode, in-person episode. Go enjoy the
long
rest of
D
your
episode.
weekend.
Yeah,
A long D.
We will not be recording the Cards Against
Yeah, we will not be.
We're not be
No,
recording
what-
Cards Against
We should
Humanity.
record it, but it's not going online.
No, yeah,
That's the
yeah.
difference.
I say we order Wingstop.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Cheese sauce?
Cheese
Cheese
sauce.
sauce.
Joe? Yeah, I know you're in.
All right.
Order
Bye,
cheese.
Bye, guys.
Later, guys.
See you
RCC.